All right, so Andrew, so I was just talking to Nina. Like we agreed, we're going to talk about gender abolition and gender roles. So I think let's just quickly go over the initial proposition. I think the initial proposition should be like, are gender roles good, bad? Do they serve a purpose or do they not? Is it something that we should stick to or is it something we should remove? Something like that. Are you guys both okay with that?
Sure. Yeah, I don't care. It's it's her prop. So whatever her opening is, it regardless of that, it's fine with me. That's
okay, Nina, would you mind going first? I mean, no one's really the challenger here since I was kind of set up this debate, but I mean, if you don't want to, we can have Andrew go first. But I think yeah, I think it will make sense for you to go first, so Andrew could understand your position better, and then he can respond to it.
Sure. There's a lot of intricacies of gender abolition that I don't know how much I feel need to be brought up necessarily. But the main premise of it is generally the elimination of gender roles. There's more complicated aspects of it as well that go into a lot of like very theoretical, philosophical conversations, which I imagine that's not very fun to talk about. But
it's fun for me to talk about. But
okay, well, we can absolutely talk about that.
Whatever you want. I think your position.
Wait, Andrew, but this is opening thoughts. Like, let her make her opening statement.
Wait, I didn't even know we were live. I thought we were still hashing out. We were still hashing out what we were talking about.
Oh, I thought, okay, no, it's fine. We can hash it out before we get into that. Yeah, I've been live. So, you guys just want to quickly establish this, and then we'll get into it.
No, I'm good. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I didn't even realize. I didn't even know we were live. So,
no apology necessary. Okay, yeah, Nina, continue.
Okay. So what I find appealing to gender abolition is obviously the abolition of gender roles. I think the phrasing of abolition doesn't do it any favors. As a concept, it's kind of like how people like when you first see it, you're like the police abolition, you're like, oh, well, so there's just going to be no, all of that type of thing. I think it's a great phrasing, so I don't want people to get wrapped up in what that means. It's a theory basically that is just generally saying that gender roles are pretty antiquated. They're not really very necessary, and I think they're actually at this point a hindrance. And what I mean by that is that it's a hindrance to the point of I don't know why. Like you would imagine that you'd want the best person for the job to get said job. And there's no direct line that, all of a sudden, because it's in this particular role that is related to you're if you're like a guy or whatever, that you're going to be better at those things, when I think that the rigid aspects of gender roles, we'll kind of assume that, which I think we could hopefully agree doesn't really make sense. Like if you're going to go into a job that's maybe like, okay, I'm doing construction, maybe a guy would be better at that because of the physical aspect of it. But if we're going into a job like where most of our jobs are right now, in obviously like white collar or service industry, where we're not doing like strength based things, we're using technology, right? There really isn't any reason to have any differentiation when it comes to like careers. I think it's very toxic. To change a little bit here when it comes to gender roles, I think it's incredibly toxic to say like, oh, guys can't be stay-at-home fathers because they're not men if they can't be stay-at-home fathers. I think that is really like anti-man, personally. I think that that's really stupid, and I think that it's harmful to both men and women to have these roles where you can't do something that you want to do because you are, either a man or a woman. I think that that's like one of the worst things about gender roles, is just that aspect where it's telling you what you can and you cannot do because you just are one thing. And I think that that's antiquated, stupid, and unhelpful. And I don't understand how anyone could defend that.
Okay, Andrew.
Yeah, so I didn't actually hear an argument of any kind for anything, not a single ought. I actually didn't even hear really a description for what is, right? Just kind of like just this nebulous, I don't really think that, like a construction worker should be barred from being a woman, or a dude should be barred from being a stay-at-home dad, which they're not. No, nobody's barred from that. I'm not exactly sure what Nina's position is. I'm not really sure Nina has a position. Luckily, I have a fantastic position. So maybe Nina can like play off of that. Okay. So for those of you who don't know, I have a bit of a history with Nina. So let me kind of explain to you what this history is. It's my contention that Nina and people like Nina suffer from a condition where microorganisms infect their brains called neonomoids. These neonomoids get in there and start making them say and do and assert ridiculous shit that nobody cares about and makes no sense. In this particular case, the neonomoids have gotten in there and have convinced Nina, for reasons unbeknownst to me and anybody else who has any type of logic and reason or, will of any kind, that men and women are equal, which they're not equal. There is no such thing as egalitarianism. We've been over this before, but when it comes to gender itself, Nina will tell you that she's a gender abolitionist, right? First, you have to start with the assumption, the very weak assumption in this logical chain, first and foremost, that there's a such thing as gender at all, that it's not just some sort of complete societal construction that's limited based on whatever tribe you're a part of or whatever locality that you're a part of. My contention, very simply, is that gender itself doesn't even exist, that everything that Nina would consider to be a socially constructed gender role is actually a biologically grounded phase of sex and necessary for the perpetuation of human existence. That's what I think, but that's also because, I'm a person who has some sort of grounding in these things and have thought about them over and over again. So I'd like to hear what's Nina's thoughts on transgenderism. That would be a focus of gender, for instance, not just transgenderism, but transracialism. I'd like to hear Nina's take on that. I'd like to hear Nina's take on gender, right, as it appears that she thinks it can just be changeable and malleable, and it's not really related to sex. So that's kind of where I'm at.
Cool. Let me just give a quick statement. So I'm going to be generally hands off during this moderation. I will step in only in two situations. Number one, where it's so much over talking, no one can understand anyone. I will allow for a good amount of discourse and banter. But if it gets to the point where no one can understand anyone, I will step in. Or number two, if I feel like the conversation is completely off the rails, in which case I will try to redirect it. But generally speaking, you guys probably won't hear much from me during this debate. All right, guys, floor is yours.
I love that you use the neonomoids again.
Yeah, the neonomoids. So before the neonomoids become too overwhelming, you have to begin to dog mom drink them away with your wine cup. What do you think that gender is, Nina?
Well, you said it didn't exist. I'm a little confused on what your stance on that is. What I think gender is a socially constructed performance, basically, that is a display to go towards a very either feminine or masculine interpretation of yourself.
So it doesn't exist. It's not a physical reality.
What do you mean? Does it exist? Does a play exist?
What
do you mean?
Smell it, taste it, touch it. Does it actually exist, or is it just something that is in our brains that we make up?
You can see it. What do you mean?
Where do you see it at?
Define what you're saying about existing, because it seems like you're being a little, ironically, nebulous about it.
No, ironically, I'm not being nebulous at all. So
I mean, the word gender obviously exists. The phrase gender exists. The theory of gender theory exists. So, are you saying what are you trying to say exactly?
I'm trying to ask you if this thing exists as a physical reality, or if it's simply an emotional manifestation or a human social construction. Meaning, if all human beings were gone,
social construction. Yes.
Okay, if it's a human social construction, then it doesn't exist in reality. It's just made up.
I don't see that direct connection between that. That's saying words don't exist, because if humans weren't there wouldn't be words.
Words do exist.
That's such a okay. Because of what? Explain to me why.
Because of sound. You have sound and interpreters which interpret the sound, and so you have physical existence.
Yeah, but if humans don't exist, then you're kind of giving me if a tree falls in the wood, would it make a sound argument here? That's just
I'm not giving you that. Let me try to help you out here, right? All I'm looking to establish from you, because you are a gender abolitionist, meaning you want to abolish gender. I'm just trying to establish if gender is real or if it's not real. If it exists in tangible reality, or if it's just some made up shit that you're trying to abolish.
Literally everything is made up if we're talking about language. So I think that we're kind of on this level right now, and I think that
No,
it's
not
kind of silly
everything.
for you to
Not
make that
everything is
argument.
made up when we're talking about language. What do you mean? That's absurd. Makes no sense.
Because,
There's all kinds of things in language that isn't made up, right? That is a physical
what?
manifestation that you can
but
look at.
language itself is made up.
Yes, you could
I mean,
say
like,
that the process is a social construction. That's fine. So that's made up. Got it. Right. So I'm just trying to figure out, you want to abolish this thing. Is this thing real that you want to abolish to begin with?
Andrew, just to quickly clarify your position for the chat, you believe sex is real, but gender is made up, correct?
That's correct.
Okay,
That's
cool.
a biological reality. And so
Okay.
what I think is that all these social behaviors that Nina thinks are related to you're a man or you're a woman. Okay. And these are genders. So this is the way she perceives it. She says, if X amount of traits are masculine, that's manly. If X amount of traits are feminine, then that's womanly, right? This is the way that she perceives this. So I'm saying
can we clarify?
Hang on, let me clarify my position. I'm almost done.
Okay,
And
go
then
ahead.
I'll pass the floor over to you. What I'm saying specifically is that the way that human beings interact with their environment is directly associated with their sex. So their sex and how they react with their environment is going to create the relationship of what you consider to be masculine or feminine via necessity. Things like short hair, wearing jewelry, all of these things are actually manifestations that are necessities for men in order to get along in whatever their environment is. So you can say like short hair for a military haircut, lack of jewelry because your hands get caught in things, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There's almost always a practical explanation and application, which is environmental, which manifests itself as to why it is that these behaviors exist, rather than the fact that it's just, we just made up these social roles one day and we need to reverse engineer them so that now we're equal. That's bizarre.
Okay. It's funny that you mentioned jewelry, because that used to be a very masculine trait to wear a bunch of jewelry. So I feel like a lot of like the history that we look back on traits of both men and or I guess like we're gonna be like biological females, biological men, whatever. Like what was considered of traditionally like biological females would, wear dress, biological male, whatever. All of like the dress, the way that they'd act, like all of those behaviors have changed like so many times throughout history that I'd find it very odd for you to say that like, oh, there isn't like a cultural sense of a gendered expectation to be one sort of way because it relates to your sex. Sorry. And you're gonna tell me that like wearing jewelry is more feminine? Like I don't really know where you're at with
Depends
that.
on what the environmental setup was that caused that behavior to become integrated with masculine or feminine behavior.
So you're then telling me that it's socially conditioned, right? Because it has to have to do with your environment.
Well, it's not just socially conditioned. I'm saying that there's a biological catalyst for it. So,
well, then why have things been the opposite throughout time? Like
they haven't been the opposite
jewelry
throughout
used to have
time.
been a very masculine thing to have a lot of jewelry.
Yeah, it could be that the environmental manifestation for this becoming something that's masculine is that jewelry was extremely rare. And so for men to establish dominance over other men via wealth, they would wear their actual wealth. That could be one explanation for why that's a manifestation of environment with sex. But it always, if you look for a descriptor of why these things end up happening, why we make these associations, you can always whittle it back to the biological sex of the person and people group engaging with material reality, okay, and the environment, and those creating the social behaviors via necessity. Even right now, that's the case.
Via necessity? What do you mean when you say via necessity?
So there's some reason for it that is environmental, and their biology intersects with the environment, and that's the reason that these behaviors start.
Why is there a biological reason to wear jewelry?
I just gave you the example. What was my example that I just gave you? Nina, repeat it back to me of how that could be the case that men would find it to be good to wear a lot of jewelry at certain points in history? Why would they think that as a possibility?
I assume because they just like the way it looks.
Well, because they just wanted
I don't know,
to.
like a status symbol, probably. I don't know.
Yeah, status symbol, right? So the biological human male behavior of being a dominant over one another. One of the ways in which you can show your dominance is with displays of wealth. So if you have a display of wealth, in this case, jewelry, of course, it would be considered masculine, or maybe stylistics, or maybe clothing, or all sorts of different trends. But all of it is dictated around the biology of both the male and the females interacting with their environment. So I'm saying that these aren't just characteristics of people who have like, oh, I think that pink is just pretty, so we consider it feminine. It's way more complex than that.
Okay, so it seems like you're just kind of going in a circle, trying to weirdly like kind of agree with me that you are saying it's just socially conditioned. Then you understand what social conditioning means, right?
Well, no, it's not just socially conditioned. It would be the opposite of just socially conditioned. I'm saying that there's actually biological functions which make these social conditions. Let me give you an example of how I know that that's true. Can you name a place on planet Earth where men or women predominantly act as the protectors and act as the physical arm and act as the strength of whatever the tribe or nation is? And that this is purposeful.
I have no idea what this has to do with jewelry. Can we stand
Well, because what I'm saying is that anywhere on planet Earth, there's a biological reality that there's a huge difference between men and women. And one of those huge differences is the interaction with environment is that men are far stronger. So they almost always, no, not even almost always, they always end up moving into those roles by necessity. That's the way their biology interacts with the environment and why the social behavior begins to begin with.
Okay, so why would they wear jewelry then?
I just gave you the example.
No,
I literally just gave you the example.
No, but why did you relate that to the jewelry conversation we were just having? I don't understand your logic here. Like you're saying, like, oh, because dudes
biology,
like,
the way biology interacts with environment is what actually creates what you consider gender. That's
what do you mean by that? Very specifically, what do you mean when biology interacts with environment? Because that kind of just sounds like me that you're just literally describing like social conditioning.
I've already. Okay, is your sex socially conditioned? No, it's not. It's a biological reality, right?
Sure.
And the distinctions in these realities is that men have different hormones. They have different brain archetypes, different interests, all sorts of different things that just by itself, the hormones on average between the two create physical differences between the two, to the point where it's almost absurd to say otherwise, right? So if that's the case, if just off of the difference in chemical makeup between men and women, they then have to operate with whatever their environment is, their localized environment, whether it's, let's say, the desert, let's say the forest, let's say the Great Plains, wherever it is. The biological makeup of men and women are going to interact with those environments differently based on strength differentials, interest differentials, all of these different types of things. So the biological extension of them engaging with their environment itself is going to create these naturally distinct roles, but many of them become universalized. There's a distinction, in other words, between men and women biologically.
Okay, you're going off on a tangent here, my guy. I gotta go.
Well, it's not a tangent. Like, I'm trying to explain it so a 2-year-old would understand it.
Right, but then, I mean, it's very confusing. Again, let's just keep with the jewelry conversation. If we want to keep it simple, I feel like that's the best way to go about it. Let's just stay focused on the jewelry example. So how would you explain with what you were saying about the biological relating to your environment thing with the jewelry, where there used to be a very male-centric thing to wear jewelry or
high heels could be an example.
Exactly, yes,
or any different number of stylistics.
So how is that not social if it's changed with biological men now do not tend to do that?
Because Ferraris didn't exist, Nina. Because they displayed their wealth in a different way, Nina. Obviously, that's why. Because they didn't have.
Well, okay, so then how
Nina, stop. Let me finish. I'm trying to finish. because they
People
they
don't work
weren't
10 minutes.
able to peacock with their Ferrari or their Lamborghini or their giant mansion or this type of thing. But it's the same. It was the same thing. It's a demonstration of wealth for dominance or to attract the female or whatever.
Okay, so why don't modern guys just
They do peacock.
I mean, like there is an ass, right? But why? Okay, so then why aren't they wearing heels?
No, what they do now is they get their legs
Or
broken.
children?
They get their legs broken and then have their legs extended so that they appear taller instead of wearing heels. They literally get their legs broken now, Nina, because of science. Because
So you're
science
saying that
allows them.
biology has changed
Hey,
the
let me
majority of
finish,
people-
Nina. You asked me a question. You need to let me finish the answer. Literally, men will get their legs broken and then reconstructed so that they appear to be taller. This was the same reason that it used to be stylish for men to wear lifts. They weren't directly high heels, but they were lifted shoes so that they appeared taller.
Wait, but if they're status symbols,
yeah,
that
they're
doesn't really make
status
any
symbols.
sense, right? Because
Yes, it makes
I assume
sense.
the idea that the heels were a status symbol was because they were expensive to make.
That could be one reason.
If you're talking about the breaking the legs thing, if you can't tell that you paid for that, then how is that a status symbol?
Okay, listen. I'm saying that it's both and. It could be both and. So it could be that they want to appear taller. Could be that they want to appear taller, so they wear boots, for instance, maybe lifted boots or lifted shoes, or they have their legs broken to extend their height, or they wear certain shoes which are completely non-functional in reality, but are god-awful expensive, and they want to wear those as a status symbol, which many men do that as well. So all of it, all of these different reasons, in other words, are extensions of the biological reality of men's behavior being different. So to summarize this, gender is a direct expression of biological sex interacting with environment.
I mean, I don't really want to keep going on with circles in this, but like, you're really just literally describing like social factors here. So I think like you're kind of posting a little bit about the sex being related to it. I'm sure things like have like a very small degree of relation depending on like your biology, I guess. But I mean, which one do you think is more powerful? Like, what do you think about the whole because we kind of wanted to bring this up.
Yeah, that is true. Your audio is desynced, by the way. You might want to log out and log back in.
What's the issue?
Her audio is desynced.
It is?
I didn't know.
Yeah, it is.
Maybe that's on you. I mean, Alex, is my audio desynced? Or you just turn it?
It sounds fine for me.
No, it's not. It doesn't. It's not a sound issue.
You see my video and my audio.
I know. No, I'm saying I don't see it. Chad,
here, look straight at the camera and say test 1, 2, 3, so Alex can see for himself.
Test 1, 2, 3.
Did you see that?
Okay, there's a little bit of a lag. Yeah, it's minor, but yeah, if you want to log back in, it's fine. But it's not significant. But it's up to you.
Like you're just trying to say that to throw me off my game. I mean, I'll just do it right in the mic.
It's unnecessary for me to do anything to throw you off your game, Nina. It's completely unnecessary.
I mean, the fact that I'm running it through OBS might be the reason why, and I'm not going to fix that. So it's as long as it's
it's fine. It's not significant.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, where were we at, Mr. Distracting?
You were about to ask me a question.
Yeah, can you give me the context? You're the one who distracted me.
The context for your question? I have no idea
what we were talking about previously, my guy.
Well, I don't know, my girl.
You guys were talking about
doing some like sneaky shit right now?
I don't know. I don't know what your question was going to be.
You guys were talking about status symbols and how like back then they used to wear heels, now they don't. And you were making arguments because of technology. I think you're going to give some counterpoint to that or ask him a question. I don't know.
Right. I remember saying something about like not wanting to go in circles about this, but
as you collect your thoughts and find your next cup of wine, I'll crack a beer here while you figure out what it is that you wanted to ask me. So one more time to state my position: gender is a direct expression of biological sex interacting with environment.
Oh, I thought you said it didn't exist.
One more time, what you're calling gender. It's an
what
internal
I'm
critique.
calling
Gender.
gender.
Yes, it's an internal critique, Nina.
Okay, but then it kind of tracks in some way because it seems like you're stating exactly what a socially conditioned thing is. So I think we're kind of in agreement on this. I guess we're just choosing to
No, it's not
say
socially
it.
conditioned. One more time, to repeat my position.
No,
back
it's
to
a
me.
social structure. I'm not saying it's socially conditioned. I think it's a social structure. It's just like a social
Based
thing.
on.
Literally, it's you reacting with your environment. That's what a social thing is.
Let me clarify this because I think I understand Andrew's position. So Andrew's saying that your gender is always going to be the same as your sex. The whole concept of a gender social construct, because you cannot have a different gender than your sex, right? It's the same thing. Gender really means sex, right? Correct, Andrew?
Yes, that's correct. They're interchangeable terms, literally interchangeable terms.
Right. And Nina, I believe you don't believe that. I believe you can have a difference between gender and sex. And I believe that gender, for example, is something that's not necessarily 100% reliant on sex, right? So that's kind of the crux of it.
Yeah, it's an expression of yourself to relate to more like either feminine or I mean, obviously in gender abolition, it is kind of unironically a little bit in agreement with the fact that it doesn't exist. You're kind of like going full circle on this, where you actually align more with like the more radical theories of gender abolition that would actually agree with what you're saying, where it is just a bunch of like social relations between like between your sex and the way that you're perceived. But I feel like what we're missing here is the understanding of what modern versions of like gender is and the subtleties of what it would look like gender abolition in the future would look like versus what it is now. Because I know you wanted to talk about like, you know, transness and stuff like that. And I think that it's really interesting conversation to have, but I just want to make sure that you understand what I'm saying when I do say things like you're kind of going like full circle to being a little bit like of a gender abolitionist yourself, where
I can't
some
abolish
extent,
a thing which doesn't exist.
Okay, but you're using the word, so the point is to change what it would.
That's because the word is completely synonymous with the word sex. I mean the same exact thing. When people in the modern times say the word gender, they actually mean the word sex. They've always meant it this way. They have never meant it as a set value of behaviors between the two sexes. They've always meant it as just being sex. So if you go back to the 90s and you play Baldur's Gate and it says select a gender, it's asking you to select a sex. It's not asking you to select a carefully assorted bunch of traits that you think are associated with a woman. It's literally asking you to pick a sex.
Right,
that's what it means by gender.
Okay. Yeah, no, I mean, like, yeah, Baldur's Gate, very good factual statement.
No, everything
But,
you could
no, I
possibly imagine for the word gender, which has always been used since its inception by John Money.
Does your driver's license
by John Money? Your driver's license doesn't ask you for gender; it asks you for sex.
Right. So, like an actual government.
Yeah, but John Money came up with the modern conceptualization of gender. And when it was introduced out into the ethos and people began to use it, they used it as a synonym for sex. It was never used as a trait-specific characterization for X amount of female behaviors or what we perceive as female behaviors in whatever society you are makes you a woman. That's insane and has never been the truth. Ever.
Right. You guys disagree about what gender is. That's the part.
Well, yeah, he's saying it is. Okay, so you said you want to talk about gender roles then, and if you're going to tell me that gender doesn't exist, where are we at on that one?
Well,
so are there sex roles?
You think that gender is a separate conceptualization of sex. I do not. If you're going to make the claim, though, that gender and sex is the same thing, then we are in agreement, and you could just concede the debate.
Didn't say that.
Well, then make an argument.
I asked you a question about what are gender roles to you then?
Well, there's no such. I just told you there's no such thing. There's just sexes interacting with their environment. There's male and female. That's it. That's it. That's all there is.
Okay, so you just refuse to accept the idea that there are gender roles? Because I've talked to you before, my guy. Like, that's not what your position was back.
Why don't you tell me what my position was before?
Well, you thought that gender roles were a good thing.
Really? Why don't you point out any place I've ever said anything of the sort? Especially gender roles, it's absurd on its face. There's just sex. There's biological sex. There's nothing outside of that. There never has been anything outside of that. Anything that you consider to be this set value group of feminine or masculine traits is nothing more than an extension of your actual baseline biology.
Okay,
And
so what does that mean?
You just
to you?
make up a word in your head in order to accommodate
Which
like
is-
this small group of mentally ill people, basically, nothing else.
Which is who?
In this case, transgenders.
What does that have to do with gender roles?
Well, because they're trying to change their gender, Nina. They say that your gender is not based on your biological sex, but whether it's a
No,
construction.
but do you
of
understand
behaviors.
what gender roles are? Gender roles have really nothing to do with trans people.
Yeah, I understand conceptually what you're saying a gender role is. Right? I'm just telling you
Okay.
that it's not some sort of movement of pushed behavior saying, if you're a girl, we expect you to act this way. Rather, it's a set of environment.
1,000% what it is.
Right. So that's the crux. Now you're getting to the crux of the disagreement. Rather, it's a biological reality of your sex engaging with environment, which creates conditions where you have to act in certain ways because to do otherwise would be in contrary to your own nature.
So you just think anyone that doesn't go with whatever, I don't know, sex roles you want to call it? Like, okay, so for example, like if somebody doesn't want to have children or like doesn't want to take care of the children, you know, or a cis woman doesn't want to take care of
You
the
mean a
children
woman?
and wants to just work.
Just a woman, you mean?
A cis woman.
Woman.
Yes, a cis woman, yes.
What makes her
Okay.
cis?
The fact that her gender identity aligns with her sex.
What does that
That's what
mean?
this
Your
means.
gender identity. So if that's true, then
How you
what
perceive yourself.
makes Alex White?
I don't know who that is.
The guy who's hosting the debate. What makes him white?
Oh, I didn't know your last name. Sorry.
His first
Dogs.
name is Alex. What do you talk? It's in
What do you
bold.
think?
It's in bold. His name is in bold. It's ALE. You can't miss it.
How the fuck am I going to assume that? I thought there's
You
plenty of other people
I'm gonna
named
assume you
Alex.
can read,
Oh, you see
Nina.
Alex Jones? I'm going to assume that it's Alex, like him. Like what the
Don't
fuck are you talking
assume
about?
what makes Alex the guy whose name
Wow,
is
so
Alex
desperate, huh?
in a big bold letters ALEX. What makes him white? What makes him white, Nina?
Oh, I thought you were saying his last name was White. Jesus fuck, sorry.
Like, why? Like
That's
this-
not at all what we were talking about. I was not misunderstanding. My bad. I thought you said what makes Alex white, and then just like stop talking. What makes him white? Like what the fuck does that have to do with like your gender identity?
Well, because is it just an identity that he's white?
Well, I mean, whiteness in itself is more of a metric of like power. Like as we know, obviously in the past, like even like Germans weren't considered white back in the day.
So
like,
can he
this
change?
is like 101
so,
stuff.
hang on. So can he change himself being white as an identity?
Okay, as I said, that has nothing to do with what we're talking about when it comes
Yeah, it
to
does.
like
It does have it's
curtailing
one
to
for one.
mass.
It's
Wait, so you think that race is same as sex? That's
No,
what you're
Nina.
trying to argue
No,
right
Nina.
now. Yes, that's
saying
100% what you're trying to argue right
I'm
now.
saying that biologically, if you think that
Uh-huh.
white is not biological but rather a social construction, and gender is just a status of identity and has nothing to do with biology, then I need you to tell me if you can change your gender, this socially constructed thing that we perceive women as. Can you change your race the same way?
In the same way as in how?
As in, can Alex begin to identify as a black man, and would it be true?
I mean, if you're gonna talk about like if he's like related to the black community, he can obviously have like a more of a feeling of more belonging to that group of people. But I don't know what you're trying to say with that. Like if we're talking
Can
about
he
like
get
does he
affirmative
identify
action?
as
Can he get
black?
affirmative-
Like,
can he get
that'd be
affirmative
very
action?
silly.
Can he get affirmative
Can he get
action if he identifies as black? Let's say he's raised in the black community, okay, and he has adopted the entirety of their culture and their norms,
Oh my god.
and he identifies as being black. Can he get affirmative action?
He has a humongous schlong.
Yeah, can he get affirmative action, Nina?
I don't believe that is how that works. No.
No, that's not how it works. However, in your mind,
Legally,
this
of
gender
course.
role switch, you think that trans
Uh-huh.
women should be considered actual
but
biological. Hang
you-
on, let me
you
finish, Nina.
can't-
Let me finish.
No, but I'm
Nina.
talking about reality
Nina,
here. I mean, like you've been talking way more than I have. Come on,
trying
guys.
to just
I'm
finish
just
my
saying,
point,
like,
and I'll give it to you. But let me finish my point.
Oh my God.
Nina, let me finish my point. So how this is one for one analogous is you think that trans women should be afforded all of the same rights as biological women. So I want to know if you think that people who just identify as a different race should also be afforded the same status as that race.
Rights? I think everyone should have the same rights. Absolutely. What the fuck?
So hang on. You think that woman is a legitimate protected class, right?
Is it? I don't know. Is it?
Yeah, of course. They have their own sports leagues.
Woman
they have
is
their
a protected
own,
class.
They have their own
Wait, do you
sports
understand
leagues,
what a
their own
protected
gyms.
class
They have their
is?
own everything.
I don't think you know what a protected class is.
What is it, Nina?
You're talking protected class is something you could like, like hate crimes.
Yeah.
That's what usually is considered under the protected class laws.
Yeah, like
is,
Christianity would be a protected class.
Yeah, sure.
Races, different races would be a protected class. Women would operate under a protected class. They're going to have different considerations for women when they apply for college, when they apply for STEM fields, when they apply for these different things. They have their own forms of affirmative action for women. They're a protected class. So what I'm asking you specifically is if Alex can change his race, if race is socially constructed, if it's a social construct.
They're not a protected class.
Oh, man. Okay, fine, Nina. They're not a protected class. Either way, can Alex change his race and get the same protection of class that blacks would have?
I don't think you can change your race. I don't know how that would go. I don't think there's any mechanism for it. You can. I don't know if you know this, but on your ID, you can. If we're just talking like legal stuff, right? So if we're talking about like if you change your, you can actually change your ID to say that you're female, and then you are able to get certain like if we're talking about like grants that maybe like people can get from being or tax breaks or whatever for being women-owned business. Which again, I don't necessarily agree with affirmative action to begin with, so I don't really know how much that you think that's a gotcha. But like, I personally don't necessarily even have a very strong feeling about that affirmative action is positive. I'm kind of on the fence about it personally.
Well, whether it's positive or not, try to understand why this is analogous. Because you're saying to me that gender is an identity.
But you keep saying what I think, and I don't think that because I don't really like affirmative action to begin with.
You just said gender is a form of identity.
Yes,
it's self-ID. So it's self-ID.
Self-ID? Is that like a
yes? It's how you identify yourself. That's what gender is. Sure. Okay, so how come race, which is a form of social construction, is also not interchangeable as a self-ID?
Because I don't think that people of different races have any, generally like intrinsic differences outside of cultural ones, of course. So.
Yeah. So then if that's true, why couldn't you just identify as being that race because it makes you feel better and be treated as though you're that race?
I mean, you could. I just don't know what the treatment would be different. If you wanted to identify as black, what do you think? How would your life be different?
Here's how your
life. Is it just because you want to say the N-word, or what? Like, how would it change?
It would be completely different. The things that you could qualify for from the state would be totally different. Affirmative action would be totally different. All of these things would be totally different. The same as if you in your case, you say if you identify as a woman, you can go into Nina. Don't ask me a question, and then 2 seconds into the answer, you cut in. Just relax a second. Same thing as if a woman or a man decides he wants to go into women's locker rooms and self-IDs as a man, suddenly has the extended courtesy that he can just go and shower with women and this kind of thing. Okay, so you're saying that, hey, none of that matters. It's all just a conceptualization of self-identity. It's like, well, obviously it's not just a conceptualization of self-identity, because if that's the case, then you'd have to bite the bullet on race.
I don't feel like I'd have to do that because so
can Alex get affirmative action if he walks around in blackface, Nina? Can he get affirmative action if he puts on blackface and gives himself cornrows and says
that's actually that's an interesting point to bring up, because does Alex identify as black? Let's play into what you're saying. Does he identify as black?
Yeah, but let's assume he did.
Okay, but does he?
No, I'm sure he doesn't. but who cares?
Okay, then so it doesn't really track now.
I identify as Asian, actually.
Okay, but you
Yeah,
don't.
sure.
I think that's what a lot of people like you guys like get like mixed up a little bit with
operating
this.
within the world of he is, though. He is, for the sake of this hypothetical, we're just going to assume that he is.
Right, but what I'm saying is like I think that there's a lot of subtlety there with if you're really going to talk about like it depends. Like I'm half Japanese and I'm half white. Like I could maybe identify more with one side. I identify more with my white side. Like, how do you feel about that? Like, is that like something that doesn't track like consistently? Like,
Well,
I
no,
don't really
hang on,
think
it
at
does.
a certain level it really matters that much.
Let her finish her point. Please.
Well,
Go ahead.
when she says, "Do you
Right, I did
think
ask a question.
X?" When she says, "Do you think X?" That's a question.
Right? Can you answer the question?
Yeah. So that both those things are pointing to biological structures, right? You are white and Japanese.
Biological. Okay,
Yeah.
so do you think that people are significantly biologically different the same way that men and women are biologically different of being different races?
I think that the significant standard's irrelevant. That if you're just going off of like a racial construction of certain clusters of people look very similar, and therefore they're treated in certain ways due to the similar lookingness or whatever. In this
but
particular
you're trying
case,
to relate that to race, right?
I'm trying to just relate it to
figure out where
self-ID.
you're at with this.
Just relating it to self-ID. So in this case, you just self-identified as half Japanese, half white. You don't believe that these are intrinsic biological categories, but rather they're social categories, correct?
Sure, yeah.
Okay, so then if that's true, and these aren't biological categories, they're just completely made up social constructions, why can't you identify as black?
Well, I don't really know what the reason to. This is why I'm saying like you need to know the reason behind it. Like I don't like if you grew up around like again like in a very black community, you could identify with that particular group significantly more, but that's not going to change your skin color. So like if we're talking about things
So
like
there's a biological element.
no, if we're talking about things like reparations and stuff like that, what we need to be addressing here is why were those things put in place? Why was affirmative action put in place? It was not to directly like because your melanin level is a certain level that you just get this like this branch or whatever. What we're really talking about is how were these people's ancestors treated, right? And I think that as we go on, this thing will not be as important as it is to be racially divided in the ways that we are right now. But I think that what you're getting caught up on is like these structures that already exist. For example, like, and again, I have mixed feelings on affirmative action, and we can absolutely talk about that if you want to, assuming Alex is okay with that. But I have very complicated opinions on that as well. But I don't think that this tracks directly one-on-one here when it comes to sex and gender, because I think that when we really talk about like race, like what does being black mean? What does being white mean? Like those then do become like a very socialized thing, which I think you're trying to get at with this, and that's fair. But I think that the subtlety, you're trying to be very simplistic about like, you're all of a sudden gonna be like, he can just like say the N-word. Like, what is identifying as black mean?
Right. Okay. So I think that's a fair question, kind of, but let me just dive into it so that you understand, right? If you want to get into kind of these nuanced distinctions. So let's start with, is thing X possible? Okay. So would you agree that it's possible for Alex to put on blackface and identify as being a black man?
It is possible for him to put on blackface. Yes.
And pretend to be a black man, right?
Is identifying or pretending? I think those things are actually completely different.
Fair enough. So he can identify as then being a black man, right?
Sorry?
So he can identify as being a black man, right?
Sure.
So the question is, does that make him one?
Does that make him a black person? Again, that really is, again, when I'm talking about subtleties, is what
this is pretty subtle.
Black person who's very light, is a light-skinned person, a very, like somebody who looks like Alex, for example, who is half black. Is that person still black?
I think that socially they would be considered black. Sure.
You think socially that they would be considered black? So the way that people would react to them was that they would just know that he was black.
Yeah, but I think that you have the case of Barack Obama to kind of fortify what I'm saying
No,
here,
I'm saying
right?
that he looked like Alex. Is Alex?
Yeah, so
he's
now
black?
answer my
He might be
question.
black.
So now answer my question now that I've answered yours, if you pivoted twice. Alex, if he puts on
I didn't
blackface
pivot.
and identify as black, you said he can do that. My follow-up question is, does it make him black?
Okay, but no, this is what you're losing here. Okay.
Answer the
We need to
question, Nina.
establish what
Is
being
yes
black
or
is.
no? Yes
so if
or no?
somebody
You
looks
can
like, wait, did
establish
you
it
answer?
after you
Wait, no,
say
no, no,
yes
no.
or
You
no.
did not answer. You did not answer my question. If
I don't
somebody
need to answer
looks
your
like
question.
Alex, so if somebody who looks like Alex is,
What?
you know, black or whatever, is so what is your level of what is black? Is it just like the skin color? Is it the history, like your ancestors? Like, what do you think black is?
I think black is how we perceive a skin color of people who largely come from the sub-Saharan African region in the United States. That's what we call
Okay, so then
black.
he would not be considered black because
Yeah,
he doesn't
whatever.
have that
It's not
skin
me,
tone. Because
though.
to you, black just
Nina,
means a skin
who
tone.
cares? Who cares? I'm asking you.
No, that's
the
incredible. No,
question.
no. That's incredibly important. So you're saying that black just means a skin color.
No, he's not saying that.
Okay.
He said he
Nina,
literally just
Nina,
said that means that you have a skin tone that is of sub-Saharan Africa.
when you're ready
Did you
now,
not just say that?
now that I've just answered multiple more
did you say
questions of
that?
yours, can we go back to mine now?
Did you just say that?
Let me one more time. I think that we associate black in the
You
United
just-
States as individuals who you can largely identify as likely coming from the sub-Saharan African region just due to their physiological externalities.
So you would not consider Alex, someone who looked like Alex, who's like half black, to be black then?
He's not half, but what are you talking about?
I'm saying if somebody looked like Alex, right?
Yeah, they probably wouldn't be considered black. Yes, in my framework or in socially in social framework, of course not. Now back to my question. Now that I've asked, now that I've answered all of yours, one more time back to my question. You agree that Alex can put on blackface and identify as being black? I'm going to ask you again: does that make him black in Nina's worldview? Would that make him black?
If you're okay, right? That's why I wanted to establish this, because in your view.
Who cares about my view for the 300th time? I've already explained it. Now on to you. Answer my question.
You're not. Wait. Why does my opinion matter in this? Like, what do you mean? If when you say black, right, you mean people who physically look black? Then no. If Alex put on blackface and said that he was black, it would really depend, I guess, on the quality of it. Like, if that's like your primary level of it, like what is black, like then on your assessment of that, then I guess yes, but that's because that's your assessment. Because all it is skin tone.
What about Nina's worldview? For the 300th time, I just want an answer to a simple question.
What you didn't ask me what.
And I answered, and I did ask you. I've asked you 6 times. I'm going to ask you again. If Alex goes in blackface, if he puts on blackface and he says he's black, is that a true statement or not in Nina's worldview? Is
it a true statement? What do you mean by true statement? Like, again, like you're just like being so nebulous in everything you're saying. A true statement about what? Like that he is all of a sudden black? And your worldview, yes.
In my worldview, yes. All it is
a melanin. Yeah, because all you said was that it was melanin.
He's asking about your worldview.
Okay, but then we have to establish the conversation of what like blackness is, and I think that's like again like a very
then
subtle.
Tell me what it is.
Okay. That's an interesting conversation around that. What blackface is generally related to is what I think about is like the minstrel shows of making fun of an underclass. So
whites
like,
can be blacks. Just what? As long as they're in the underclass, whites can be blacks in, or is there something?
No, I'm just talking about the historical.
Right, I understand the history.
For example, like when we're talking about like why are things like reparations a conversation? Why are things like affirmative action a conversation? It is because of the historical injustices that have been made on historically, like when like we're talking about black, like African origin people that were like enslaved. It really depends on what we're talking about. Like, in America, right? In America, we are very much talking about like people who had origins to slave ownership. And then also like obviously the conversation about Jim Crow, all of that. Like the injustices, like things like affirmative action, which again, interesting conversation to have, is related to like making up for the wrongs that we had made in the past as a country. Like, again, as somebody who is Japanese, the wrong that happened to my family that the country made up for was obviously the internment. It doesn't mean that Japanese people coming in after the war would get like the reparations, but the systems that have been implemented at that time, like with we're talking about, like, again, affirmative action, when it has to relate to like former like the injustices that were happening with which is why I have such a complicated relationship with how I feel about affirmative action, because I think that it's kind of gotten
All right, I'm
enough.
just stepping as a moderator.
No, don't step in. Let her go. Trust me, I'll bring it back around. Go ahead.
Just bring it back around.
Oh my god, you love just cutting me off. It's 'cause you
I
have
didn't
ADHD.
cut you. I didn't cut you
I
off.
do want you guys to bring it back around because this is just now getting to.
I'll bring it. I'll bring it back around. I promise.
All right,
Let her finish.
Okay. All right, go ahead.
Sure. Okay. God damn it! I fucking hate getting cut off. Whatever, just do it.
You were talking about how blackness is more of less of an indication of skin color and the social perception, and it's more of a shared lived experience based on a specific demographic experience in history. That's where you were at.
A specific demographic experience. No, I'm saying like the ancestry. I was specifically talking about how that we were talking related to affirmative action as an aspect of like something that could be taken advantage of, because I don't think that necessarily is something that we can relate to gender, because it's like so complicated in a way that the history is like, it's not the same as in like, oh, like what you could say about like the history of like gender expression. You know, like there isn't like white people weren't really like Germans weren't considered white, right? For a while. And then they were, because what it represents is to an extent like a underclass, specifically when we're talking about America. That's where a lot of that comes from. Like the one drop rule, for example. You know what that is, right?
Yeah, to get to your point. Like I'm trying to just wait for you to get to your point. I've been very
Okay,
patiently waiting for you to get to your point.
Okay, right. But my like entire point of when your question was related to like, oh, can he like identify as black, right? If he had like obviously like a historical relation to that community, even though he appears white, that like, yeah, sure, he could. But my problem is the blackface aspect, where I don't understand why that would be a part of the racial identity. Like, because he wouldn't have to change his physical appearance, right? If he did identify with his black roots. Do you understand what I'm saying?
So if this is true, and you're saying that these specific groups need to be isolated in order to get reparations, how are we going to isolate the groups? We would isolate them based on their physiology. That's how we do it. So if you want to know which group belongs in the camp whose ancestors were persecuted and enslaved, there's a really easy tell for that. And the easy tell for that is their biological externalities. In your particular case, you're saying if you want to apply for reparations, or you want to have some type of group reparations for things that have happened in the past, you have to have some type of biological claim to that group. That's what you're saying. I think that that's completely true. And the same thing would apply with men and women when it came to transsexuality, that you cannot adopt the identity of women as men because you do not have the required biological makeup that would put you in that group so that you could be extended those same courtesies. So in other words, you don't get to have the same type of oppression Olympics as a man who dresses up like a woman as you do as a biological woman, because you don't share the same history. Do you understand now?
You said oppression Olympics. What is that? I didn't really think that made sense in the context of what you're talking about.
What I'm saying to you specifically is that if your claim is that you have to be a part biologically of a group in order to be isolated, to be considered for these things like reparations, then you're pointing at Alex and saying, Alex simply putting on blackface wouldn't be enough because he'd have to share the history of struggle and the history of ancestry and all this other stuff. Okay, fair enough. then why would you extend the same courtesy to men who dress up as women and pretend that they share the same struggles that women shared, have the same shared history as women, have the same biological claim to womanhood? That's insane.
That doesn't make any sense. Holy fuck. Like, that's like saying, like, oh, because, like, you have a, like, that
It's your
logic would
worldview, so
track
if it
if we're
doesn't make
talking
sense,
about,
that's
like,
on you.
the... Okay, but I just don't even understand how you got that from what I was saying. You're saying that, like, okay, so if
Why
he has...
else can't he be black other than a shared history?
Because it's not
What
like
else?
it's not like every single human being is like mixed race, my guy. Every single human being is both part like of made from like a female or a male, or, you know, obviously the intersex that can be involved in that as well. But like that doesn't make any sense of what you're trying to
makes
use that as.
perfect sense. Then tell me why Alex can't be black.
I don't know, Alex, are you black?
It's irrelevant to the
Let's assume for a second he identifies as being black.
It's a hypothetical. In this
If he
hypothetical,
identifies as being black, are you going to say
If he has
right
black
now that
ancestry and maybe he like is
No,
white
no,
passing,
that's
then
my
yeah,
point.
he might identify with being black.
That's my whole
That
point.
would be
He
fair.
doesn't. He doesn't. Assuming he doesn't have any shared history, no shared anything.
Okay,
He
but
doesn't
why-
have a single drop of biological DNA from
Okay,
the
but again, I could say
sub-Saharan
he can
Nina,
identify.
let me finish. He has not a single drop of this of blood from the sub-Saharan African region. Okay, let's just say everything from Alex's family, for the sake of this hypothetical, comes from Scotland, right? Doesn't matter where it comes from. Okay, but he doesn't share any genealogy whatsoever with sub-Saharan Africans.
Okay.
Can you explain to me, if he puts on blackface and identifies as being black, why he's not, or can't you?
Why he's not, or can't you? I see. I mean, like, can he or can he not? Like, yeah, of course you can do that. I just don't know why you would. Like, what would the point of that be?
Would he be black
Would he
at that
be
point?
black?
Yes.
Again, this is where I went into the definitions of that.
So the
I
answer
don't know
yes or no should
what
be
level
easy.
of what level of consideration we're talking
Answer
about black. Like,
yes
if we're
or
talking
no,
about
and
does
give
he
me a qualifier.
if black is genetic relations to that, then no.
You're under your worldview, Nina, not my worldview.
What?
Under your worldview, your Nina's world. We're in Nina's worldview now. I've already explained my worldview. You can critique it all you want. I'm fine with that. But just answer my question.
Be on the same page
Answer
here.
my question from Nina's worldview, from what Nina thinks in Nina's fucking brain. If Alex puts on blackface and he claims that
Okay,
he's
putting on blackface
let me
does not
finish,
make you
Nina.
black.
Okay, it doesn't make you black. Awesome.
Putting on blackface does not make you black. Yes.
Okay, so Alex, if he identifies as being a black man and put on blackface, would not be telling the truth, right?
That he identifies as it, or that he like
That he is. That he is it. That he is it.
Is
that he is that thing.
But that's what I'm saying. That when it comes to like what's important of what your definition.
Okay, let me just okay. I'm gonna clear this up because we've been going circles for half an hour. Okay, the hypothetical that I think Andrew's trying to create is this. Let's say that I identify as black. I have zero black ancestry, zero anything like that. I put on blackface. I start dropping the N-bomb. I start applying for like affirmative action type of shit.
Okay, but why would you do that?
Let's say I want to. Let's say I really want to be black, and I just want to do it, right? And I identify as black.
Then you're not.
Maybe I feel way more in common with the black culture. Maybe I love rap. Maybe I love like everything about black culture, right? Would that, in your worldview, make me black? And if not, if I do say I'm black, am I telling the truth or am I lying? That's the question.
If you were to like answer the question to somebody that you're black,
she can't answer the question. It collapses her worldview, Alex. It can't be. It's going to be impossible.
I know you like to talk, but like
to get Nina to answer. So just say yes or no, Nina. Yes or no.
I literally just said no.
No, he can't be black. So then he would be lying if he made the statement that he was.
That he's not black. That he was black. I would assume. I guess. Sure.
Okay, so if that's true, then you can apply this to gender now and tell me why it is that a man who's saying that they're a woman is telling the truth.
What do you mean? Are they saying that they are able, like that they're a biological female, or are they saying that they're a woman?
A woman is biological female. That's what people associate with woman.
Okay, but this is where we have the gender conversation here.
Yeah, but this is exactly applicable to the conversation we just had before.
Oh,
My contention
it's
is that they're
not.
lying. They're lying because they can't. They can't be those things based on both biology and the social makeup of who we would put inside of those groups due to their biological struggle under Nina's worldview. So they can't be
Okay.
telling the truth, Nina.
Okay, so would you say that if you're so like upset about that phrasing for some reason of like thinking that women just means biological female, what do you think of the term trans woman?
Well, trans woman indicates men who have a mental illness called gender dysphoria.
What? Okay, like what do you mean? So you're okay with the term trans woman?
If it's to describe, if the descriptor of trans woman is not to describe a biological female, but rather to describe males who
Okay.
have a mental illness, which makes them just like want to pretend to be females, then I'm fine. I'm fine with using that terminology. But the second you try to interchange it and say that
But
they're
they'd
women,
still be
the same
women then,
way that
right?
no, they wouldn't be women. They'd be trans
Okay,
women.
so but right, they'd be trans women.
That was
So are
not a
black
woman.
women not women?
Black. Okay, so first of all, you don't need the additional descriptor. So black women are just women. You're just woman. All females are just
Oh,
woman.
all women.
Trans woman
Okay.
would indicate the people who do not have the biological
So describe to
functionality
me
to
what
be
a
considered adult human females.
describe. Okay, so just what about a firewoman?
Mm-hmm. What's a firewoman?
Like
Like a woman who's a
like a-
firefighter?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you were going to say, for the purpose of the conversation, women who are biological females who are also firefighters, we call them fire women. I'm fine with that.
Okay, so you are okay with the term then, like trans women?
As long as the descriptor of it is describing this specific phenomenon of a mental illness called gender dysphoria, I'm fine with it.
Okay, so you're just really married to the term, the mental illness aspect of it. You know what? I think that's fine. I think we'll take that from you. That's as progressive as I think we're ever going to get you. But I think that's actually interesting in that you're willing to engage in that. I think.
But they're not women. They're men.
But why do you call them women then?
I'm not calling them women.
You're calling them trans women, right?
I say the word trans. If they make the delineation and trans woman becomes synonymous with man with mental illness, male with mental illness, instead of I am biological female, I'm fine with that distinction. Yes.
Okay.
If trans woman is synonymous with male with mental illness, do you think that trans woman then is synonymous with male with mental illness?
My personal definition of that, I don't think that being trans is a mental illness, no, but I think that that's okay that people can see it that way if we're going to make, some progress with that, because I think there are elements of what is considered mental illness that we can go into, whatever, like having, there is a lot of subtlety conversation about transness that like non-binary people could also be considered, trans. So
Everybody's
I'm actually
non-binary.
kind of curious on you.
It doesn't mean anything. It's just made up tribe.
Everyone's non-binary.
Yeah, it means nothing. It doesn't mean anything.
So maybe I should ask you, what are your pronouns?
Label. It's a meaningless label.
Would you be offended if I called you she?
Yeah, well, that would be a false statement. So it wouldn't be an indicator of truth.
Okay, why?
Because when you say she, you're referencing an adult human female, as opposed to an adult human male, which would be he. The reason that those distinctions are made is so that we don't make false statements. So
you wouldn't like being misgendered.
Yeah. Well, it's not a misgendering. It's actually far simpler than that. It's a descriptor which is inaccurate because it's a lie. It's a descriptor which is inaccurate because it's not indicating truth. There's no truth that it's indicating. So it would be inappropriate to use it. It'd be like if I said, Nina, that guy Nina is super weird. That guy's fucking dumb, right? That makes no sense because the indication there is that you're a male, which isn't true. It's obviously not true.
Okay, but as somebody who identifies as non-binary, I don't care. You could absolutely say that.
But But the nuance here where you fucked yourself is you said that a simple as self-identification with an empty label isn't enough. There has to be an indication of some sort of actual physical reality which goes in with it. Otherwise,
When did
you
I
would
say
be
that?
able. Well, you actually had to concede that that's what the black question was about.
We're not talking about.
I know we're not talking about it directly, but it's analogous across the board, Nina. So it would be inaccurate for me to say that. And if you
How
say
is that
I'm not,
analogous?
because if you say that in that people group, the indication there that Alex can't be black is based on the fact that he doesn't have the requirements biologically nor socially to be black. And so you don't have the requirements biologically or socially to be a male. You don't have those requirements. So me calling you a descriptor
How do you know?
indicating you're male would be inaccurate
How do you know I'm not a trans woman?
because you've publicly stated you're not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Put two together on that one.
Yeah. Okay. Well, gee, Nina, do you have a penis?
Does it matter what I say?
It matters. One's a lie and one's the truth.
Okay, but
Well, let me ask you this: are you a liar? Yes,
sometimes.
Sometimes you lie. So should I even take anything
what
you
are you
say?
saying?
Should I take anything you say at face value? Are you going to
What
lie
is,
to
it
me
doesn't
about
matter.
this?
Like you just assume that I don't, or what?
Yeah, we're able to make societal assumptions based on just like we could make the social assumption that Alex isn't black. There's a reason.
Okay,
for
have
that.
you ever seen a really
He's
butch
not.
lesbian?
I have, yeah.
Do you think that the fact that a lot of like women get like or a lot of butch lesbians get like harassed in women's bathrooms because they think they're trans women, does that
By a
how do
lot,
we-
you mean almost none ever? Is that what you mean by a
almost
lot?
none ever? If we're talking
Yeah.
about like statistically, yes, a very small amount.
Yeah,
yes, but
very,
it's
very,
still
very
happening.
small amount.
Okay, but it doesn't matter. The point is that like it's indicative of the fact that you probably can't really tell, right?
There can be certain instances where a magician's trick can trick the eye, or where a person's eye can be tricked where they can't tell. There can be instances of that, yes, but that really doesn't mean anything. There could be an instance, for instance, where you had black men who did a movie called White Girls, and they dressed up like white girls for the purpose of this movie. And the special effects were so realistic that it's possible that they were walking down the street and were treated like white girls. It's possible. Because it happened. That actually happened, right? It happened.
Okay.
Two black comedians were dressed up like white women.
No, I am familiar with the movie. Yes, How do you not understand that the expression that we show ourselves is indicative? Like when you like say she, her, he, whatever. Like, are you saying their dicks or pussies? Like when you say it, like I don't understand like how.
Of course we make the association with that because it's biological.
The only way that you
the reason
say she,
men want to breed with women is because they have. Are you
saying no? But are you on the street? And you're just in like a store, right? And you're just like walking down the aisle here. Are you, and you see somebody who like is presenting very, very feminine. Like, do you really know?
You can
that
be
they're
tricked.
A biological woman?
You can be tricked the same way that a black person who looks exactly like a white person because they put on all sorts of makeup and Hollywood special effects, that can trick your eye, but it's not an indication of truth.
Do you think it's
not indicating what's true? Yeah, cool. I just gave you an example of that. It's rare, but so is the phenomenon you're talking about.
No, you're talking about a movie, my guy. We're not talking about
cares?
Like what do you mean who cares? Like the reason why that they're doing that in the movie is because they're filming a movie. If somebody is a trans woman, it's that they identify with and want to be perceived as a woman.
Right. So they want to present a non-true state. They want to present a non-true statement to get you to trick your mind into believing there's something they're not, just like those moviegoers did, just like the movie producers did. There's no difference. There's no distinction.
Okay. What did they get out of it? Let me
they have a mental illness.
What did they get out of it?
They have a mental illness.
So they don't have to get it to trick you.
You can't apply reason to people who are mentally ill because they're mentally
so
ill.
you don't have any reason to believe that. You're just saying that they are mentally ill. So it seems like you're kind of mentally ill, that you just think that
the
all
DSM
people are just trying to
calls them
trick
mentally
people.
ill. The DSM-5 calls people with gender dysphoria mentally ill. Not
Well,
me.
it's considered a mental illness. They're not like
Yes.
considered like needing
That's
to be.
right. It's considered a mental illness.
Yeah,
That's
that can be
correct.
treated with gender affirming care.
Right. So
So-
lying to them.
Lying to them. That's adorable.
Well, so let's turn it around then. If that's
So you
not
think
the
like
case,
somebody who has a
hang on, if
mental
that's not the
illness?
case, let's find out if you're telling the truth or if I'm telling the truth. If the
think it's just
DSM-5 put in a prescription saying that people who struggle with racial dysphoria, let's say in this case Alex in blackface,
Okay, shut the fuck up. I'm not dealing with this. You're so off the rails with this. That's not what we're talking about, my guy.
Nina, and that the best treatment for him was for us to affirm his race, even though it might
Sure.
upset everybody else in the black community. Should we do that?
Is it statistically going to lower the significant amount of like suicide rates?
Absolutely.
I would consider it. Sure, we'd have to know the facts on that.
You would consider affirming it, even though it upset every black person on planet Earth who
I don't
says,
give
"No,
a fuck
that
who it's
person
gonna
doesn't have my
upset.
share."
Like you're the one that gets upset about trans people. I don't care about your opinion. I want trans people to have fucking health care, okay? Because it makes them feel better and it doesn't affect you.
Well, hang on. In this
When we're
particular
talking about
case,
blackface, is that obviously it has racial undertones. Do you think that that is the case
it
when it
affects
comes to
yes.
gender affirming care?
Yes.
Racial undertones. Do you think
It
that the
has
N-word has the
sexual- it
same
has-
effect of other slurs?
it has sex undertones. So the thing is that you want
Sex undertones. So a
hang on.
historical interpretation
trying
of
to
how they've
explain it
been.
to Do you want
disenfranchised.
So Christians are the overwhelming majority of the United States, and you're asking them to lie in order to make people feel better. But you would take.
Do you understand that Christianity is a lie?
You would take black people's feelings
You're gonna
into
act
consideration.
like religion is a matter.
You would
Religion is a
take
fucking lie, dude.
whether you think it's a lie or not. We're just operating off of feelings here.
They're not
So,
against trans people, so I don't know what you're talking about.
So yes, yes they are, but I don't know what you're talking
depends
about.
what
But anyway,
interpretation, right?
back to what I was saying. You would take the entire consideration of the black community into account and say it does actually more damage to affirm Alex's identity as a black man if it causes more harm to the entire black community. But in the case of a Christian person, you would say that's fine. Fuck them. They're liars anyway.
Do trans people affect the Christian community?
Yes, I just told you we have to lie.
They're causing material
The
harm?
expectation is that we lie. Yeah, that's very
Well, I guess not all
harmful
the time.
to people. It's harmful to
Really,
people whose
you think
values are
that
truths.
lying? So you think Christians having to lie is the same as blackface, the black community?
I think that the ask that a person says something which is not true has the same ramifications on both communities. Yes, because that's what you're doing in both cases.
Okay, so yes, just say yes that you agree straight up that blackface is as bad as asking Christians to lie. So
Absolutely.
there's a lot of other things that
100% believe that that's
is
true.
that your same
Yes.
opinion on like abortion or some shit? Like that's insane.
No, well, just asserting that it's insane isn't an argument.
Okay, so why don't you go in on that? So why is asking to like, let's assume that it's a lie or whatever. So how is lying the same level to Christians as blackface is to the black community?
Because in both instances, it's simply an emotional response based on something that's not true. So they're
That's
directly
not what blackface
equivalent.
is. Blackface was like minstrel shows and stuff like. You understand what minstrel shows are?
No, do you understand?
Where it was literally
in-
making fun of.
Do you understand in this
making fun of the
context?
black
we're talking
community.
about
They
Alex
were used
pretending
to
be black.
disenfranchise them.
We're talking about Alex pretending to be black and you affirming his blackness.
No, you're talking about the black community.
You affirming his blackness because it will help him with like suicidality issues. That's what we're talking about. So if that's the case, right, you're saying it's okay to lie to Alex and affirm his identity as a black man in order to prevent him from suicidality. It's like, okay, that's fine if you say that, and you'll disenfranchise every other black person who says, no, that actually hurts us, right? But you wouldn't give the same affordation to Christians who say we're not going to lie and call men women who put on a wig and have a giant fucking beard women. That's insane.
I don't think that most trans women probably want to do that. That's more of an NB thing. Again, like I don't think you understand the subtleties of gender identity, and that's fine. expect
it's
it.
just
Like,
too
there's something wrong with
nuanced
that.
for my
I just
feeble
don't
mind
understand
to
what you're talking
comprehend.
about. No, I just don't think like it's not like you're dumb or something. I don't think you're a dumb person. I just think that it's like more like I think you're really like in the camp of wanting to make these things black and white, and I think that's really unhelpful opinion to have, like just for yourself even. Like, I mean, you have multiple children. What if one of them was trans? How would you feel about that?
They can't be trans. It's an indicator they can only have a mental illness. That's it. There
Okay,
is no
so
such
if
thing as
the
trans outside of
solution,
mental illness.
okay, so if they have a mental illness, right, that makes them maybe vulnerable to like committing suicide, right? And you had a solution to make sure that didn't happen, would you not want to see that happen for your child?
I think that I would do whatever I could to mitigate their health, not at the expense of whatever my personal values were. So would I do anything? The answer
So
would be
your
no.
personal values.
For instance, what if they were a psychopathic serial killer and it made them feel better to kill people?
Okay, but that's
Should I
not
let
what we're
them-
talking about.
Right, but hang on. Should I let them do that? The answer would be no, because it would be a contradiction in values. So if they
Okay.
said the only way that you can actually help your son through this mental illness is to affirm a lie in contradiction to your own values, would I do that? The answer is also no.
Okay, so you're saying if your child was trans and they were really upset that you would
No,
not
I'm saying
accept
that
them.
that's if they had a mental illness.
I'm
Yeah.
asking you, like, just a straight, like, okay, if you think that that's a mental illness, that's fine. Let's go with that. That's fine. I don't see any
But
problem
help
with
them
having
in
that as
any
a
way
stressor.
possible
If
that
your
was not
child-
contrary to my Christian values. Yes.
Okay, but what if statistically, well, there's not anything against in Christianity trans people.
Yeah, lying
but,
is
like-
lying is bad in Christianity, Nina. I don't know if you knew that or not, but we're not allowed to do that. It's a sin.
Okay, I don't really want to engage with the lying aspect because I feel like that's very silly.
But you
But-
already have.
Okay, so
it's-
if you have the choice of affirming your Christian values and your kid killing herself, you're going to go with the kid killing herself or themselves?
You mean if there's a direct, like, you have to violate the sanctity of all of your values or this kid dies, depending on the mortality of the sin?
I just don't think that's much of a okay. So
Depending
lying,
on the mortality of the
if
sin,
one of your
yeah.
kid lies, like that's you violating the sanctity of all of your values, just like lying about anything.
Yeah,
What about,
lying is a sin, yes. Now, there's a hierarchy when it comes to not all sins are equal, Nina. So is it
Okay,
possible
so-
that in my own selfishness I might set some of those sins aside for my prodigy in order to do something different than is within my value structure, even knowing that it's wrong? I might do that.
Okay,
but that
so-
doesn't mean it's right to do.
Okay, that's fair, but you would be willing to do that if the lie, because I mean lying's not like
Well, the
not really on
magnitude
that high
of
level. On
lies,
that.
I think that the
Oh, I'm
magnitude
sure
of
we have
lies
little
is,
white lies, all those
is
things all the
worse often than just killing someone. Lies can enslave an entire population. Lies can convince people that men can be women. Lies
Okay,
can
so
convince
what level
people of
of
all
lie
sorts of
is-
madness.
time. Okay, so in your mind, how high is the trans lie for you? What level is it? Like the genocide lie?
Well,
like
that's
is it
a
gonna
complete
cause-
rewrite of reality. So it's a socially controlled lie. So it's high up there. It's a very awful and horrendous lie that has been perpetuated on the public to state that women, the essence that is woman, which is its own unique thing under God, it's its own unique thing, is perverse to the point where men can just make the claim that they're interchangeable with the thing that gives life to other men is a horrendous lie. It's horrendous. Horrendous.
Why?
I just told you why. It's because it's a rewrite of the fabric of all things
Okay,
that are
but
true.
you're just kind of saying like grand claims. You're not really giving me an example. How do
They're
you think it's going to
affirmed
affect the
off
world?
of my belief in Jesus Christ and my religion, and the affirmation
Which
of
is
that belief. If you have problems with that and you want to get into transcendentals and get worked there too, Nina, we can do that too. Whatever you want to do. If you want to question my value structure
you
in
want to argue
comparison,
religion, something that doesn't have any basis in anything? Yeah, I'm sure
Well,
that'll.
I don't want to get into religion. Let's keep it on topic.
okay, so here on topic, what I'm saying is that yes, the affirmation of what's true is very important to Christians. There are Christians who lie, of course. Nobody is perfect. Okay. And of course, certain lies have a magnitude greater than others in their effect. We're not retarded. We understand the distinctions here, Nina. What I'm saying is that if you make this radical claim that men and women are interchangeable, that is such a wild claim that you need to present overwhelming evidence that that's true. And all you have is that it's an empty label of a self-ID, which is fucking pathetic. It's pathetic.
Do you think that all men are interchangeable?
Of course, no. There's a separation between what makes me me and what makes Alex Alex.
Okay, so why did you say interchangeable in that context?
Because you believe that men and women are interchangeable widgets, and they're not. They're not interchangeable widgets.
You do like to say that. I don't think I've ever even said the word widget.
I had to affirm it at first debate. I can give you the timestamp. I'll have Lou pull it up right now, and we can play it live if you'd like.
Sure. That's fine.
Yeah.
But
you did say sure.
Your word choice doesn't mean that I go against or absolutely agree with everything you said. It seems like you're kind of trying to do like a very weird gotcha. But what I get a little confused at when you're saying like, I know we've had this conversation, or I'm not sure if I had it with you, but you know who Buck Angel is, right?
I do. I know another guy named Buck Angel Groiper, but I won't get into that. No, yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. You want to make like the Buck Angel Blair White comparison?
Right.
We can do that.
I still want to have that. Like, okay, so if anyone doesn't know who Buck Angel is, you can just Google it. He's a very jacked man, but to the mind's eye, right? Like, and like just seeing them on the street, you're gonna assume that he's a man because that's the utility of things like gender, right? Where it doesn't really matter what their sex is; it's just how they're presenting.
Mm-hmm.
So, what is your?
So you you say, Andrew, if you saw Buck Angel Groiper, would you, or Buck Angel? Sorry, not Buck Angel Groiper. As funny as I think that is.
You're obsessed with the Groipers. I'm getting a little worried.
If you think Buck Angel, right? Would I instantly assume that that's a man? Right? The answer would be yes. But so what? My eye can be tricked, just like a magician can. So I'll give you a counterexample. If I pulled up right now, hang on. If I pulled up right now, 6 pictures of Labrador retrievers, could you tell me which of them were females and which of them were males?
I don't know. Maybe. Probably not.
Could you do it? Like, honestly, could you tell me which ones are males and which ones are female Labrador retrievers?
Certain dogs have like different aspects of it, but for the reason of just not being annoying, I'll say no.
No, right. You can't. So the thing is the reason that you can't is the same reason that my eye can be tricked at times. It doesn't indicate I'm making a truth claim.
Wait, you're going to relate gender to dogs?
It doesn't mean I'm making a truth claim, right? Doesn't mean that when I say that Buck Angel, that my perception was tricked and I thought that was a man, that actually is a man any more than the Labrador Retriever, right? That you see it just like you just see their head or you just see their body or whatever. You can assume, hey, that could be a male or a female. You don't know. Relationally, you can be tricked. Do you understand that? Like your mind can be tricked, but that doesn't mean it's true.
Okay, but the fact that your mind is tricked, does that not seem to make it seem that you know what general phenotypical characteristics are related to what you assume is a woman?
How it's being tricked. Just the same way that a person can make a quarter disappear or cut a person in half in front of you. You understand intuitively that a saw cutting through a person would kill them. So you're oohed and awed when they pull the thing apart and this person is cut in half, but they're not dead.
You call it witchcraft when you're like watching a magician. Like, who gives a shit that it's a trick? I mean, everything is supposed to be like a. I mean, do you think like makeup is like a trick?
Do you think that you? Of course it is. Makeup is designed to enhance
so why aren't you pissed off
sexuality. About that? Makeup is designed to enhance sexuality.
Okay.
Then why do you wear it?
Do you think hiding like a zit that's like really annoyingly prominent?
Why do you wear it?
Do you think hiding a zit that's like prominent is the same as like wanting to like get fucked?
I'll tell you what. You know what? If it's not about sexuality and how you're perceived by other people, Nina, go take off your makeup and come back to the camera. I'll wait.
Why? Because you think I'm wearing it right now? Because I just think that.
Let's see what you really look like. Go take off your makeup and sit back down.
I don't care.
You're not going to be embarrassed. Then go do it. I'll take your time. Go do it.
Okay, but the reason I'm wearing makeup is not for that purpose. So
What
why
is the purpose?
Why would I do that?
What is the purpose?
Because I think it makes you look cool.
What you think that it makes you?
What's
It
the point of like you
enhances.
wearing this nice? You got a nice haircut. You got a nice shirt. Why the reason you doing that? Are you trying to like hit on Alex here or what?
No, men do things for socially different reasons than women do.
Oh, okay.
You
So
notice
the
that I'm
only
not wearing
reason-
makeup. I'm not wearing makeup, right?
Okay, so are we talking about men wearing makeup or just women wearing makeup?
Well, women are the ones who wear makeup. They're trying to hide their age. They're trying
Plenty
to
of men
enhance.
wear makeup.
They're trying to enhance sex appeal, things like that.
They're
Yeah,
trying
and
to hide
sometimes
their
they do
age.
it
I'm not
for
wearing any
similar
face
reasons, but
makeup.
overwhelmingly, women do it for these purposes. So
Over-
go take off
okay,
your
do you have
makeup.
any-
I'll tell
do
you,
you
what,
have
you're
any
not going to be
statistics on that?
embarrassed. You're not going to be embarrassed. It doesn't even matter, Nita. Go take off your makeup.
I just don't want to do that.
Right.
I don't have to even get up. I have a thing
I'm
over
sure
there.
you.
Who
I'm
gives a
sure
shit?
you don't. I'm sure you don't. But the thing
Is that your dunk? That like, oh, take off your makeup? Like, I don't care.
No, my dunk.
I'm not even
is,
wearing face
my
makeup. I'm not
dunk-
even wearing that much makeup, my guy.
My
Like, what the
dunk-
fuck are you talking
my
about?
dunk
I mean, as
is
far as I can tell,
simple.
you're wearing makeup.
My dunk is simple. It's just to say that
Mm-hmm.
the indication of the things in which you point to are most often not
Indication
true.
of the things in which point are often not true. Yeah, that was like an absolute non-statement.
It was
You're just calling me a liar.
Well, yeah, that's true.
You do like to do that.
Only when
Who
you're
do you
not
do
telling
that
the
to best
truth.
friend?
Only when you're not telling the truth.
Okay. Ooh, I wonder how much gaslighting you do to Rachel, my guy. Like, it's a little worrisome. Do you get mad when she wears makeup outside?
No, of course not.
And I think I fucked up my focus. But she's just trying. Why?
Because she would be honest in the statement that the reason that she's wearing it perhaps is to appear younger or to appear better or to have
No,
an
but you said
appearance of a
appear
way
sexual.
that was to make a personification of a thing. Well, when you're talking about sex appeal, it's very important for women.
Okay, but okay, so she's wearing it for sex appeal.
I think sometimes, sure, especially for me.
And you're okay, what do you mean sometimes? It kind of seems like it's an all or nothing there with the way you explain it.
Well, I don't think always it's being used for the purpose of sex appeal, but I think it's always being used to hide some sort of reality. Yes.
Okay.
I'm okay with
yeah,
that. I think it's fine. Like if you were going to hide a zit, I might hide a zit. I think that that's fine. Okay. But
It
I'm
seems
not,
like you're
but
kind
the
of
thing
backtracking
is like all you have to do is make the indication of what's real. That's all I'm asking you to do. The reason I think you're a liar is because every time I point to a truth statement of something that's real, your instant knee-jerk reaction is to tell me, no, actually, you're wrong. And this is, blah, blah, blah,
So
and none of it's
this
true.
is just like straight up gaslighting that you're doing right now. Like, we're trying to be like, oh, well, if you disagree with me, that means you're lying. Like, are you fucking serious?
No,
like, with this right now?
No, you're
Like, I'm literally, it's like, I just
the
can't
reason I
disagree
think
with you
you're
and have an
lying is
actual
because I can
point.
point out the lie. Would you like me to point out the lie? So it's not gaslighting?
I mean, I pointed out multiple times that you saying things that were inconsistent.
Good,
So I
name
mean, like,
one.
is that really where
Name
you're
one.
at with it?
Name
With
one.
what you said that like literally the reason of going out was just like for or wearing makeup was just to be like sexually attractive.
I think it's
And
one
then,
reason.
then you pivoted to
It's
that.
one reason
Oh yeah,
of many
no, but
reasons.
you said, oh my god, okay.
So back to the lies that you're telling, though, which are fucking insane. You say that it's not even directly
very
analogous to say that gender can be equated with transracialism, even though it's the same exact concept. You believe that race is socially constructed, and yet when we apply this as a physical phenomenon to people, you go into panic mode, and you say, "No, we need to have a shared history."
Wait, what do you mean by physical phenomenon? Wait. No, you need to say your terms.
Bro, I'm trying. What do you tell me? You tell me when it's okay for me to talk, Nina. Go ahead. You let me know when it's all right for me to point out your lie.
I just would like you to answer what you meant by physical phenomenon.
A physical phenomenon meaning a biological phenomenon. There has to be a biological characteristic which ties you into this group. If there's not, you can't be a part of the group. That's what you said.
I feel like you're just using a lot of terms interchangeably that I don't think are consistent with what you mean. But if you want to continue,
well, then
actually, can you give me like 2 seconds? You give me 2 seconds because he's too white. I don't know.
Right.
Give me 2 seconds. I really need to run to the bathroom. Give me one.
That's fine.
It's that weak bladder, which is part of the phenotypical expression of women, part of their biology that they can't get away from.
Dude, I don't know, man. I used to like nowadays for the last 5 years, I fucking wake up like 5-6 times throughout the night to piss.
What's that?
Nowadays, like for the last 5 years, I've been waking up like 5-6 times throughout the night to take a piss.
Well, you're probably drinking a lot of water.
I am drinking a lot of water. It's probably because I'm black, though. That's probably
it. Yeah,
black thing.
That seems fair.
Yeah, we were stuck on the black thing for like 40 minutes. I was like, Jesus Christ, like, because I knew exactly what like analogy you're trying to make. I picked it up like the first time you said it, but yeah.
She knows. Look, Nina understands. Just that her worldview can't account for it. So you end up with all these red herrings trying to chase you down different obstacles. It's very common when you're talking to leftists. Their worldview makes no fucking sense. The feminist worldview makes no sense. None of these fucking people make any sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just true. I don't know what else to say. That's a true statement. So we'll wait for Nina to come back.
I'm so sorry. I needed to pee since we began, and I should have done it beforehand. My bad.
Of course.
We're gonna call this the had to pee cope.
Okay, you can if you want.
I'm done. I don't know where else we could possibly go with this. Like, you've basically affirmed my worldview every which way it could be affirmed. Mm-hmm. So I don't know what else to say, really.
Let me, unless you want to say something, Nina, I'm going to pose a question to both of you.
Go ahead.
What is a woman?
I think a woman is just anyone that identifies as a woman.
That's an infinite regress. You can't actually think that.
Plenty of things you can. What is a chair?
That's an infinite regress. Well, a chair has an indication of trying to portray information. So what information are you trying to portray by saying that anybody who identifies
is a couch a chair?
I think you could make kind of this broad description that any particular thing that you, in the case of a chair or any type of social descriptor, has its limits. But I think that the way we know what a chair is by ruling out everything that's not a chair. So the thing is that this occurs with almost everything. But when you say a woman is anybody who identifies as a woman, you're entering into an infinite regress because you're not giving us any description of what a woman actually is at that point. So, for instance, if I said, what's a Lakers fan, you would say somebody that's indicating somebody who watches their games and goes out and or watches them on TV and knows the team and things like. So it has some information which is being pointed to with the description, saying what information are you pointing to in your description of anybody as a woman who identifies as being a woman.
Okay, but if using your argument about the teams, right? If the characteristic of somebody identifying as a Lakers fan is that they, have these certain social behaviors, why could that not apply to somebody identifying as a woman doing those same social behaviors that we relate to being a woman?
Maybe it could, but that's not what your definition is.
Appealing.
That's not your definition. Your definition is anybody who identifies as a woman. That you didn't say a woman, somebody who dresses up like this or does this. You just said anybody who identifies as that. That's like saying, what's a Lakers fan?
What is the definition?
Hang on.
No.
Okay. It's like saying, what's a Lakers fan? And somebody says, anybody who identifies as a Lakers fan, right? It's tautological. It makes no sense. You're saying literally anybody who says this
Wait, but you just described a lot of characteristics of people that are Lakers fans.
Right. So I didn't just say somebody who identifies as a Lakers fan.
Okay, so who is a fan of sports? Who is somebody, how...
So the information that you're indicating there are people who do X, Y, and Z. That's how you know that there's something there. In other words, so like if I say what is a chess player or a chess fan, the definition that I would give is somebody who watches chess or somebody who plays chess or somebody who does these things. Same thing.
Like the broader concept of sports.
Yeah, the broader concept
would be. What does that mean?
It's an indication that they're playing sports or watching sports or doing something with sports. So there would be some type of definition that was indicated. They're not just identifying as that. So if I were to say, what is a sports fan? You say anybody identifies as a sports fan. It gives me no information. It's just an empty label.
What do you mean? Like, we're talking
It's
about
an
somebody who's
empty
like a
label.
fan of sports, like
Yes,
yeah,
which
that
would
is
indicate
equally an
other
empty label, but we
information.
still use it. It still implies something,
Be-
does it not?
Yes, it does. It indicates other information, which is why you would not identify sports fan as anybody who identifies as a sports fan. You would identify it as like people who watch sports or play sports or do things with sports. You would indicate information. It wouldn't be an empty label. An infinite regress would be you saying anybody who identifies as a sports fan is a sports fan, because then I would say, well, what's a sports fan? And you would say anybody who identifies as one, and on and on and on. It becomes so tautological. In fact, I can mathematically show it to you that it just is referencing itself over and over. It gives me no information.
Right. So you saying sports fan does the exact same thing, but again, like
No,
if we're
it
gonna use
doesn't.
that example, like if you're just saying who
didn't.
identifies as a woman, and then like they dress like a woman, they act like a woman, they behave like one, they do voice training to sound like a woman, is that not the exact same thing?
No, I just explained to you. Well, didn't I just give you a descriptor of the difference between an empty label and a definition? There's a difference between a definition and a descriptor. Okay, so you having an empty label, like for instance, you say, my name is Nina, right? Well, I can't give you a definition of Nina's because it's an empty label. It doesn't mean anything. It's a self-identified empty label. It means nothing. It doesn't give me any information. When I ask you what a woman is, and you say a woman is anybody identifies a woman, what information are you giving me about what a woman is? What are you giving me? What are you showing me? What are you telling me there?
Identifies as a woman.
Yeah, right. It's an infinite regress. It just continuously plays off.
That's where
itself.
It becomes the social aspect of what. I mean, that's where the main problem comes between the sex and gender aspect of it. To you, it should mean woman or like biological female, right? Because you said that gender
to me, a woman would be an adult human female.
Okay, so if a trans woman, if woman is an adult human female, then a trans woman is somebody who is
an adult human
like
male.
An adult human female.
No, and a trans woman is an adult human male with a mental illness.
Okay, but woman to you means
adult human female,
right?
Yes.
Right. So if the trans aspect being that they are going from a male to female,
like they can't. That's a biological impossibility.
But you already accepted the fact that trans woman is a form of woman. It's just different, right? But if we're going to talk about the phrase woman, you have to accept the fact that trans woman means a person trying to go into the class of woman to your definition, which is a biological human female.
Right. So it's an impossibility. So when you say trans
it doesn't
woman,
matter, but you're relating that
it does matter.
You still have to accept that though. That's literally your logic.
Not only do I not have to accept it, but it's wrong.
But you said
what you're saying is incorrect.
Is a fair phrase to use.
For what? What did I say? It's a fair phrase to use for what phenomenon?
To describe trans people.
No, to describe men,
women,
males who are attempting to act like females due to mental illness.
Okay, so they are so you are literally agreeing with what I'm saying, where your definition of trans woman should still mean exactly as you said it was, where it's biological males that are presenting as so
there's information. So there's information with the definition, whereas in your definition of woman's an infinite regress, there's no information. Females. There's no information in your definition. None.
Okay,
you're not giving me any information.
Definition of that is, to some extent, I don't agree with your mental illness aspect, but it's pretty consistent with mine. So it seems to me that it's really even going to be like.
No, it's not.
Women
you don't have a definition except to say it's the thing you asked me what it is. You're saying, so if I say, what's a rock? You say, well, it's a rock. What's the definition of a rock? Anything that we think is a rock. Well, what is a rock? Anything we think's a rock. But a rock, the thing, what is that? Anything we think it is. You see how fucking stupid that is, Nina?
I think you're trying to run away from the fact that literally you confirm that trans women are women.
That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life.
Trans women are women. So
okay, Nina, one more time.
Trying to run away from that.
If you say,
are you running away from that,
Nina? No, of course, Nina. I've already emphatically stated my definition of what a trans woman is.
Okay, so trans women are women. We love that for you.
They're not women.
Okay,
The definition that I gave you does it imply in no way that it's a woman because a woman's an adult human female.
but if it's a qualifier,
Adult
is
human male would be the opposite of that.
you said like firewoman was still like a, in your mind, a adult biological female.
Let's
that
break it
just
down.
has another qualifier relating to it.
To occupation.
It's somebody
has another qualifier relating to occupation.
Yeah,
but
so
they're
you
actual
can ask
females.
so the qualifier for trans women are, as you said, as much as I don't agree with the mental illness aspect of it, that's fine. But they are biological males who want to perceive themselves as women or present themselves as women who are acting as women. So
what's the distinction? They're not women. Because to be a woman, the qualia requires female. So they can't be women.
Behaving in like
so who cares if they behave like Labradors? Are they Labradors?
Okay, so
no, answer my question. If they behave as Labradors, are they Labradors?
If they behave like that doesn't.
Yeah.
Are you saying if you're gonna call them like furry, like furries?
No, I'm not saying furries. Yeah, I said if they act like they're Labradors, are they Labradors?
No, they're furry Labradors, I would assume.
No, they're not Labradors. Just say no. Just say no. Just try not to lie for once in your life and say no. They're not Labradors, Andrew. They're not.
How am I lying?
Do you think that they're fucking Labradors because they act like they're Labradors?
You can't ask me to just do yes or no questions. You understand the fallacy that is.
You can give me a yes and a no, then a qualifier.
Do I have to ask you that? When did you stop beating your wife? Question. There are certain questions that you need to add.
The answer would be no. I've never beaten my wife. There you go.
No. Yes or no. Yes or no.
I just answered no. I've never beaten my wife.
Wait, no. You can't have the rest of that. You just have to answer yes or no.
I already told you yes or no qualifier,
when
Nina.
Did you stop beating your wife? Do you understand why that question? That question means?
That's called a loaded question. But unless you can point out what question I'm asking you that's loaded. Unless you can point out
because
where
you're not
my
allowing me to do
is.
subtlety. You're not allowing me to do subtleties with my answers.
I'm asking you to give me the yes or no, unless you can point out what's loaded, and then give me your qualifier after the yes or no.
You were asking me literally just yes or no. I gave you my qualifier.
Okay.
I said if you're going to compare that to like the like if somebody's like somebody identifies as Nina, or a
Nina,
lab, like they might be like a lab furry.
Did you wake up this morning?
What?
Did you wake up this morning?
Yes.
Why was that so hard to do? It's almost like when there's not a loaded question.
That question didn't involve subtlety, my guy.
It wasn't loaded. None of the questions I've asked you are loaded. You asked me a loaded question. So since I'm not asking you,
I'm trying to give to you that you're doing those things to me.
Then what's loaded about?
I'm going to step in for a second. Nina, if you want to make the claim that he's asking you a loaded question, point out which question you felt.
Yes, tell me what's loaded about the question.
Well, the Labrador question. Repeat it.
Does it make you a Labrador to act like a Labrador?
Does it make you a Labrador?
Yeah, if that's a loaded question, tell me which part is loaded.
Like,
I think it's. I would just say no.
Act like a Labrador, but the point is that we're talking about language related to. If you're like a furry who like identifies as a Labrador, where you're a Labrador furry, then.
Yeah, but that's not what I asked you. I didn't ask you about furry. I asked you if you pretend to be a Labrador, are you a Labrador? If
like
you pretend to be a
dog?
T-Rex, yeah, are you a literal dog?
A literal dog? No, of course not.
Right. So the descriptor here for when we say Labrador, when we have a definition of Labrador,
you're talking about behavior, though. That's where I'm
not just talking about behavior. I'm saying that my definition of female has a biological element to it. And so as a descriptor, it indicates something. Your definition doesn't indicate anything. It's an empty label.
Right. No, exactly. But like, okay, to bring it back to the Labrador question, if you behave like a Labrador, nobody's going to necessarily assume that you are a literal dog, but to some extent you could be in the furry community. Maybe I'm going too in the weeds with that one, but like your behavior could still get across something that you're trying to get across, right? Like, I don't think everyone should just like identify as like furries or like that's like the same identification as like somebody who's like doing like their gender identity.
Yeah, maybe.
But I'm just trying to use like the language. The language is if somebody is behaving in a way, they still might want to be identified as such in a particular environment. It doesn't mean that necessarily like. Sorry, go ahead.
No, so there's some things here that I agree with, but when we're talking about descriptors and definitions, if you say to me, Andrew, what's the definition of a woman? I say it's an adult human female. Then any qualia where you attribute woman from now on, the qualia female has to be included, right? Because that's what it means, adult human female. So if you say firewoman, it's going to indicate female every single time. If you say, fucking, I don't know what else. Whatever you put in as woman, it's always going to make the indication of female because that's definitionally true. Definitionally true. In your case, you're saying a woman is anybody who identifies as a woman. That doesn't give us a single bit of information as to what a woman is. It's just an empty label. In fact, the trans community has moved away from that because they know it's an empty label.
Right. I mean, I don't disagree that there is a emptiness to the label. Like, I don't care. I didn't disagree with that at any point. I'm just saying that if we're going to use the phrase trans woman, the qualifier within that is where that becomes important. Where you're saying that it's the same, right?
Well, I'm saying if you make the claim trans woman, right, necessarily you're trying to make the inclusivity of female in woman, right? But the term in this particular case means man who is trying to pretend to be female, male trying to pretend to be female. That would be trans woman, my definition.
Okay, so what's the problem with that? Like, you're still saying the word trans woman, so like, what, you don't add like the qualifier there? Like, I don't understand. Like, well, if you're using the phrase trans woman, like, yeah, the woman part maybe just doesn't really apply that severely. I mean, it does if we're talking about like trans woman versus trans man, but it's like, it's more of like the first part is the more important part, right? Do you disagree?
Trans, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that would be the indication that there's something there that's not woman. So it means something different than female.
Okay. Yeah. I think that again, like, that's actually pretty trans inclusive. That I have no problem with that. I think that's basically what most trans people think.
It's not what most trans people think.
It's not. No, they're very different positions.
Oh, of course, yeah. There's a lot of like discourse, and it's a new,
But if you'll concede, if you'll concede that that's true, that we're indicating something that's not a female, and you're willing to concede that, I'm willing to concede it too.
Oh, absolutely. I don't think a trans woman is a biological female. Absolutely,
and can never be right?
A biological female.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah. Was that even an argument?
Well, no. I mean, if it's just a descriptor of what is.
Wait, did you think that I thought that
I'm fine with using that as a definition?
I thought that trans women could be biological females.
But the real question is to go one step farther. Can that biological woman ever actually be a man?
Well, it's the same question, just in reverse.
Not in the biological. We're not talking biological. We're talking about like a man in terms of gender identity.
Yeah, but we already covered this, right?
Yeah. You're just thinking in reverse.
Yeah,
I don't see the difference here.
If you guys are satisfied, I'm cool. Do you guys have anything else you want to discuss before we get to closing thoughts?
Yeah. So I don't have anything I want to discuss short of closing thoughts. No.
Nina?
I'm okay with moving on. I think I don't have anything off the top of my head.
All right, cool. So let's get into closing thoughts. Let's keep these like, I don't know, like a few minutes, maybe not too long, but yeah.
Well, Nina, you open first, so I'll close first, so you have the last word. I think that's fair.
Sure. Sounds good.
Yeah. So this is an example of Ninamoids once again being inserted into a conversation where our it's funny too. I think Nina must be a dog mom, right? That's the only way I can associate it, right, with the consistent wine sipping as she does the debates. It's like usually you would apply that to like a soccer mom, but maybe in this case a dog mom. Nina has no idea what the fuck she's talking about. She never has any idea what she's talking about. I don't dislike her as a person, right? Just think that she needs to educate herself a bit more on some of these different kind of different conversations that are going on in the political spheres. This one's particularly important when we're talking about gender. It's a bad matchup all around. Nina is always welcome on the Crucible. I've always enjoyed having her on this kind of thing. I'm just saying, ultimately, it's a bad pairing, bad matchup because honestly, Nina's just not smart enough to debate with me. It's not really a dunk on Nina. It's just the way that it is inside of this space. There's only certain people who are even smart enough to step in the arena with me, and she just happens to not be one of them. So my suggestion in the future, Nina, is like maybe join the Discord to get some great debate experience or something like this. You honestly have no fucking idea what you're talking about. And you just kind of insert psychobabble after psychobabble. And I have to untie all that shit before I can move it back to the point. Even though I feel like you know what the point is, I'm okay with that. I feel like that's just kind of traditional leftist discourse when it comes to the general indoctrination of people who are infected with these Ninamoids. So the Ninamoids are real. They do get inside of leftist women's heads. I am the cure for the Ninamoid. You saw it happen in real time right now. Her worldview collapsed and she conceded to mine. That's step one before you move on into replacing that worldview with something that's worth a shit. So this is what I would say needs to happen more and more and more. And that's why I'm always happy to have these conversations, regardless of who it's with. I'm always happy to do that. So I do appreciate you coming in and engaging, Nina. I'm just giving a descriptor of what is. So I hope you don't take it too personally. That's my closing statement.
All right, Nina.
Fair enough. It's good that the consistency of just doing odd personal attacks. I don't really know how to apply. I think you're right that I need to educate myself on things because I have a very positive view, and from California, like of people's values, where I think that they would be more interested in freedom, and I need to be educated on your opinion that is incredibly bigoted. And because I am way too charitable, and you're correct in that I do need to be educated with like how insane people are and how ridiculous your stance on wanting to, you basically said that you were okay with your child committing suicide because it would be a lie for you to affirm them. So I think I'm okay with where I'm at with that. Very interesting that you continue the personal track of the Nemoids. I think that's like mega cringe, but if it goes off for you, that's fine. I am absolutely confused on your world position, and I'm grateful that I'm able to like have these conversations because I agree. I do need to have them with people who have such like insanely different points of view from me because I think it is something that's incredibly helpful. I do always love talking to you, of course, but I don't understand why you're saying that my worldview collapsed because I don't feel like that happened. I think that we were just not understanding each other, and that's where I think is very valuable for us to have these conversations because you are just like in so much of a different mindset than I am, and not necessarily that like that's either directly a good or bad thing. Obviously, we talk about contentious topics, but I don't understand the way that somebody like you thinks, and I think it's really helpful to understand that as well because I want to get better at being able to know how other people think because I am way too charitable, and I think that you just are actually kind of a mean person. And that's fine. I just need to get through my head that I should stop being so fucking charitable with this type of shit.
Are you gonna cry, Nina?
But in general, I think that.
Are you gonna
did
cry?
I interrupt you? Did I interrupt yours?
Oh, I'm sorry. My bad.
Wow, seems like you're a little upset about it. No, I know that that's something that you think that leftists get really upset about, but I really don't give a fuck. Like, it's fine. It's just interesting to me. I do think your background looks fantastic with the brick. I would suggest using that more besides the green screen. And we love that for you. But no, I'm totally down to talk anytime. It's always a pleasure to be on the show. And good to hear from you as always.
Yeah, I thought this was a really good discussion. I personally understood both of your worldviews really well. I can articulate both of your arguments. But yeah, all right. So let's get into super chats, and then you can do yours, Andrew. If you have any super chats, we can do yours too, Nina. And then let's do, if you guys are cool with it, open panel. I'll keep that one dude that you hate off, and let's get into it. All right. So let me do my.
You can bring on Grace Thorpe. She actually had quite the redemption arc the other night. Somebody sent me over a VOD that she was engaged with this chick. And it was actually quite good. I suggest that everybody go watch that unraveling. She did an excellent job. And I was like actually shocked. And it's going to make it into a trash talk extravaganza. She did such a good job. So that was actually impressive. But Ben Thorpe is still a fucking douchebag, and I have no use for him. So, but if Grace wants to come on, she absolutely redeemed herself with that one from my perspective, for sure.
Oh, there we go. All right, Grace, you are more than welcome to come on. Okay, let me get through these super chats. Hey, Alex, by the way, if super chat, I do appreciate all super chats, but if the super chats is just like an insult to a guest, I will not read it. Hey, Alex, I'm brand new to the chat. Just want to send you some love and let you know I appreciate you. Thanks, man. I really appreciate the support. Welcome to a new member. Welcome to the PWF verse. Okay, question for Nina. How would you have felt if you hadn't eaten breakfast? I don't know if you want to like answer that.
I don't get it. Is that a reference?
I guess it's like I don't know. I think he's just kind of fucking with you. But I appreciate the super chat. Shout out to Andrew, Crushing the Feminist, Black v Silver. Always good to see Black v Silver. Carrie, I'm not going to read your comment because
yeah. And Black Silver, what happened to your channel, dude? That was awesome. I love that channel. I was asking about it the other day when I was on here debating. I was like, "Where's that guy's channel?"
Yeah, me too. I think he just took some time off YouTube. I think he got frustrated with the drama and all the insanity that happens on here.
Yeah,
At the end of the day, being a YouTuber is not for everybody. Okay, do you have any super chats on your guys' end?
I'm on Twitch, so no.
I didn't put up the link, but I still got a few that came in. $10 came in from Martian Garden. He didn't say anything. Appreciate the $10. Another $5 comes in from Orthodox Armenian. No message entered by user. Appreciate that, Orthodox Armenian. $5 comes in from Woodshop the Wise. He says, my timbers have been shivered by the level of retardation tonight. It's been painful. Well, I mean, that could be taken, I guess, kind of either way. But
yeah, either way.
Yeah, but I do appreciate the super chat. Sorry, I didn't have time to put the link up. I actually got the debate time wrong, and I was late, so I apologize to both the host and Nina. I'm very punctual with these things.
I'm
sorry about that.
Hours.
Anyway, go ahead.
Is that it? Those are all your super chats?
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys.
I didn't have the time to prep for the stream, so.
Okay, no worries. All right, guys. So we're gonna open up the channel. We're gonna open up the panel. We'll go for I don't know. Here's gonna be the rules. We're gonna bring people on one at a time. I am now a lot more careful after the incident with the channel getting taken down. So I want you to turn your camera on. You can turn it on backstage and just show me that you're a real person, and turn it off when you come on. I'm okay with that. But if I don't know you, if I've never heard of you, then I'm not gonna feel comfortable bringing you on after that little porno gate on Greg's channel. So yeah, so you can turn. Okay, there we go. I got your traditional culture. If you want to turn it on, you're more than welcome to. Keep it on. It's up to you. Let me bring you on. Hey, oh, sorry, buddy. I didn't know you were turning it off. How's it going, dude?
We're muted, my friend.
Here we go.
Yo, my bad about that. I didn't know you were planning on turning it off.
No, that's all right. I've shown my face before. I can handle it. I'm a big boy. My question, actually, for Nina is, because I noticed you said in your opening statement you were talking about like your views on gender roles, and you don't like sort of the way that I guess traditional Western society has handled the question of gender roles. And I get that you're not a big fan of patriarchy. Do you think that a matriarchal society would be better than a patriarchal society?
No.
No, why not?
I think that one gender being superior over the other doesn't make any sense to me. As obviously a gender abolitionist, I don't think that it's logical to do something like that.
Okay, interesting. Do you think that what sort of a society, like how would you like to see society be structured then?
I don't really think that we have to go like severely different than what we kind of have here. Obviously, I'm more on the socialist side. I want to see a lot of like when we're talking about like society, I feel like I would be remiss to not mention obviously the socioeconomic like aspects of that. And I know that's not what we want to get into, so I don't want to get into that too much. But what I would want in terms of just like gender relations is kind of like similar to what we've already been able to see kind of in like the gay community, where there's a lot of like gay men, gay women, like bi men, bi women, and like in those communities there's not a lot of expectation. And when it comes to something like, you know, obviously we're on Alex's channel, I think that would be significantly more fair to both men and women, where it would just be about you as an individual, not if you're a woman or a man or whatever, and you wouldn't have the pressures of being a guy and always having to be the one to go up if you're not interested in that. And being a girl that you have to play coy, like getting rid of all of that bullshit. So I just think everyone's gonna fuck way more if we get a less gendered expectation society.
Why is everybody fucking way more a good thing?
Well, that's just more of a joke, but I'm just saying, like, if we're talking about like just, I mean, obviously, as I know, Alex's channel is generally based along like, you know, the pickup artists or whatever. I just think like in terms of
It's
our,
actually not how to be black. That's the main focus of the channel.
oh shit, well, I'll have to change my answer on that one. But on relationship dynamics, and I think a way more healthy way to have relationship dynamics is to do away with the games that you have to play, where you don't have to feel like you have to be a certain way. You can just play it the way that you are as a person, and you know, that should be equally as accepted and validated, because there's a lot of people who also don't want to play the game either.
Well, what about if it were a different sort of program where, like, not necessarily saying, because I oddly enough, to some extent, I agree with certain aspects of what you're saying, and that I'm a critic of a lot of the way that Western society's traditionally done things. I'm very harsh on my own society, and I'm very interested in anthropology and looking at other societies, the way that other societies do things. But what I see is that in many other societies, many other sort of traditional cultures, you will see very different sorts of expectations, very different sorts of ways that men and women will interact, will meet up. You get some societies that are matriarchal, et cetera, but you will always see that there is some sort of social game. It might be different from the one that we have. It might be better than the one we have. I think in many cases it is, but there is always some sort of social game. It sounds to me like what you're sort of promoting is just extreme individualism, which I don't think is going to end up working in any society.
I understand what you're saying with that, and I am unsure what you mean by extreme individualism, but I like, for example, like if I think that like being into Warhammer 40K, you don't have to say like, oh, is that masculine or feminine or whatever. You just like can do it or whatever, and then like that's what your interest is. So then you're gonna find somebody probably that shares your interest. Where we're not like looking directly at the idea of like, oh, you have to find like this person that's like fills these check boxes to make, because like other guys are gonna want, like, it is in a way very individualistic, like you're saying, where I think that's liberating, where you can have the freedom to not feel like you have to find somebody or be somebody that checks a certain amount of boxes. You can just be that person and find that person, because you have like whatever your similar interests or you know, like just a natural like situation with how you would, like, the same way you'd meet a friend, right? Like, do you have to have a checklist to make a friend? Like, I think that that's like a weird disconnect that we have a lot of times, is like, oh, they have to be like this, they have to look like this, like whatever. Like, if you just have somebody you enjoy being with and they're like, you want to be with them.
Well, I don't think that necessarily one would have to have that, though. So, like, for instance, you know, if I were to take an example of a culture like the Li people who live in Hainan Island in southern China. Now, they are a society that I like very much. I would argue that their courtship customs and their dating customs, if you could call it that, are superior to ours, and they would actually be a model for the way that we should do things. And I don't want to get into, because it's too long-winded, I don't want to get into exactly what I mean right now, but like the specifics about the culture. But like, my point is that even though I would say that, they still have, you know, customs that a certain specific way of doing things. And it's not, oh, you got to check some boxes or you got to do this. It's actually very relaxed and very informal, as you're saying, but it does still follow like certain rules and certain expectations, because I think that humans as a group-oriented species, and we are a group-oriented species, we're not just complete individualists the way that tigers or something are. We're not solitary animals. We do need to have these sort of social rules, especially about something important like finding who your life partner is. Would you not agree with that?
Let's let Nina answer that, and then we do have to move on to the next person, unfortunately, because we have people in mind. But go ahead, Nina.
Yeah, I do want to ask a little bit of a follow-up, if you don't mind, Alex.
That's
just a really quick one.
Okay,
so I don't think that we need rules for relationships. I think that's a very closed-minded opinion, in my opinion. I think that you might be fetishizing a little bit about. Again, I'm not familiar with that culture, but I think that you probably are not like ingrained in it, correct? The culture that
You mean
the South
I'm,
China,
I'm
you
not
said?
I'm not a part of this culture. I'm not one of them, if that's what you mean.
Right. And I think that maybe it's a little bit of the have you visited their community? Like are you
I've
familiar
not
with
been
it
there.
in that
I
way?
used to live in China though. I used to live in
Okay.
China. I have experience dealing with like traditional societies in China, including both the Han Chinese and minority communities. Not that
Sure.
one specifically though.
Okay. So I think that you're again a little bit of a I don't want to say fetishize because that always sounds really bad, but the idea of like I think that having rules is not necessary, and I think that's a lack of imagination on your end.
Okay, we do
No, I think that this culture that's been around for thousands of years and is extremely adaptive, and there are all sorts of metrics that show that's extremely adaptive, and that
Every culture
that's
that exists now has been around for thousands of years.
All right, guys,
Not-
we gotta. I'm sorry, I hate.
No,
to
it
interrupt
hasn't.
you,
That's the
but
most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my
move on
life.
to the next person.
Okay.
Traditional, feel free to reach out to
Okay,
Nina
thanks,
privately. You guys can set up a whole debate. Appreciate you coming on,
Sure.
buddy.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
can connect. I can connect the two
Thank
of you. Thanks, Trad.
Yeah, for sure, dude.
All
All right. Let's do a quick super chat. We'll bring on Grace. Nina, 1/3 of men haven't gotten lead last year. Do you think men could overthrow society in a couple of decades and bring back the patriarchy because of feminism? Think about the French Revolution. I think someone asked this question last time Andrew was on, but I'll believe you were on. So, yeah, why don't you answer that question, Nina? I think me and Andrew have already.
That's a little bit of a self-report that you're basically just kind of like doing like rape apology, and I don't really understand why.
I don't think that's the point of the question at all. He's just talking about he's not talking.
Overthrow men. Okay, but he started with 1/3 of men have not gotten laid, so then they're gonna overthrow. And so what is adding the patriarchy gonna do?
Well, that's his argument.
Men are gonna get fucked more.
Yes, his argument is that if there's like traditional values, right, and there's a patriarchy, right, that more people, like for example, like 50 years ago, more people were getting married, right. There's a lot less like hypergamy and stuff like that. So yeah, I think that's his point.
Yeah, because women didn't have a choice. So would you not consider that rape?
They still don't have a choice.
Self-report.
They didn't have a choice. Yeah, no, they always had a choice. Just
What
the
do you
culture.
mean? What do you mean? What do you mean? It's a self-report. It's a descriptor of what is.
The women don't have a choice who they fuck and they marry.
Yeah, they've never had a choice except the benevolence of what men gives them. That's it. That's the only choice that women have ever had.
Rachel, wear yellow if you need help.
Yeah, do the blink twice thing next. Do the blink twice if you need help. She's preoccupied baking me cookies. It's terrible. Terrible thing. I prefer M&M myself. I don't know why. Maybe it's the one adolescent thing I have left. But I do like the M&M cookies, and she's upstairs baking away those M&M cookies. Nina, I'm sorry about your luck, but
she
that's
is
just the way
them.
that it is. Yeah, of course.
I love that.
Sounds pretty good. All right, let's bring on next person, Grace. All right, I'm excited to see what happens here.
Andrew, you buttered me up. I came on to thank you for saying that my video is good. And then you say women don't have a choice during sex? What are you talking about?
Well, no, I was addressing the super chat. What did the super chat say, Grace?
No, she said you're saying
What did
that
the
sex.
super chat
No, I'm
say,
not doing
Grace?
your games.
You wanted to read
The truth.
She said,
I don't care
she
what
said, are you saying that women don't have a choice during sex and who they marry? And you said they only have a choice because men are benevolent enough to give them a
Yes,
choice.
we were responding to the super chat, Grace. Do you remember what the super chat said or not?
Outside of the super chat.
Pull up the super chat. Alex.
She asked you a question about sex, and you responded with that answer.
Yes,
it's
I
not
understand.
about the super chat.
Yes, it was. The super chat was asking, do you think that men could overthrow society? Oh, thank you, by the way. These M&M cookies are fucking delicious. The question which is asked here is whether or not men can overthrow the society and put back in a patriarchy. At that point, let's assume that they did, Grace. If they put in a patriarchy and they denied all access to rights to women, which they could do women have choice in who they have sex with then?
If men, but men and women are
Answer my
symbiotic.
question, Grace.
You can't have men. No, because men couldn't do that. Men couldn't have a society where
So
they
then
make
say
all
yes
the
or
decisions.
no. So then the answer would be no.
No.
They couldn't
Men
have a
can't
society.
do that. No, men
Why
are not
can't
like because men and women are symbiotic. You can't have a society that
What does that
only
mean they're
favors men and
symbiotic?
not women. they are like you have to have both in agreement and harmony for
You do.
society,
So, like
for
the Middle
procreation.
East. So the Middle East has that.
Yes, Middle Eastern
It's just
women.
pro-rape.
Middle Eastern women are in favor of Muslim society. They work
Okay,
with Muslim men. They're not
So
oppressed by those Muslim
So you're
men.
saying that men cannot enslave women at their whims if they so choose to do so.
I mean, physically, yes, they can enslave some women, but like not an entire
women.
society. You have this ridiculous
couldn't they?
idea that you can separate men and women, and men can like
Why couldn't
just
they,
have
Grace?
arbitrary rules that they impose on
Why
women.
couldn't they, Grace?
Because men need women, so they need women
Yes,
to
they
agree
do,
with them.
but they don't need them to agree. They don't need them to do anything. They're not the
Yes, they do.
functioners. How? Why?
Have you ever had a woman disagree with you? She's not going to just do
course.
whatever you say. And
Yeah,
you can't
but
just
without
so what? So
men-
it's just BDSM, everything is BDSM.
Grace, unless men are acting on behalf of women to enforce their rights to not get raped or not get enslaved or not get whatever, they don't have any rights. They don't have anything external to men.
That's not
They've
true.
never had anything external to
Wi-
men.
okay, you say you're a Christian. Women have
Once
rights that
again,
are given to them
I'm
from
giving
God.
a descriptor of what is, Grace. Not saying what ought be. This is just how it is.
Wait, Ben, no.
All right, get rid of them. Then, if it's gonna be this way.
No. remove
Oh,
the
come
graphic.
on, he can't
Wow.
be here. He can't sit here.
Enough
I'm
of your
talking.
fucking cloud
I'm
chasing.
talking.
Every
Wait,
time I give you a
wait.
chance, you fucking do this.
Oh, so
shit,
Alex,
Grace.
so Andrew's in charge of your channel. So Andrew's in charge of
He's
your
not
channel. He
charging
can't
my
sit
channel,
right
but
here.
Wait, stop.
He's not
a guest on
talking.
my
He's
channel.
not talking.
He's a guest on my channel. He has requested that he doesn't want to talk to Ben. I have to respect
He's
that.
not
If you were a
talking.
guest on
He's
my-
not talking.
If you were a guest on my channel and you made that same request about
You look
Andrew,
great
I would
tonight.
honor that.
I just want to say that. I hope that's not sexist. You
Okay,
look
yeah,
terrific.
he sexually harasses me all the time. I don't want him on here.
Grace,
Please.
if you want to stay on, you have to tell your dad not to be here. Come on, any other time can't be this time. You have to make it-
But this is what they do. If you give an inch, they try to take a mile. That's
Nina,
why they end up
I have
where
a
they
serious
always
question.
Wait, no, hang on, stop. I'm going to mute you.
Alex,
you have to make a choice. Okay, there we go.
Okay, he's gone. Okay, Nina, I do have a serious question for you. Okay, modern day debate. Okay, this is.
I thought
this
we
is
were
not
back.
related.
I thought we were back. I thought you were asking. We were talking about whether or not men.
Oh,
could
well, you can
enforce-
handle not
enforce
having
rape
attention
culture.
on you, my guy.
I thought that we were talking about
He's
if men
desperate.
could enforce rape culture or not, and you were saying that they
Uh-huh.
couldn't because they have
Look,
to.
just have
they
another
have to
have
live
another
in
bite of the
harmony with-
M&M cookie. Have another bite of the M&M cookie. I'm sure it'll sedate you for a
So
little
you
while.
can't
I
answer
have
the
a question for
question.
Nina.
Got it.
Wait,
Okay.
Nina. This Friday, modern day debate. We need a woman who is anti-patriarchy to take an anti-patriarchy side.
Mm-hmm.
I'm debating with John Zerka for patriarchy. We need a female streamer who can debate against the patriarchy. Do you want to do it?
With John Zerko, my best friend. I think I'm gonna have to do something on Friday, but if you message me on Discord, I can let you know.
Okay. I just wanted to throw it out there because I'm looking for a female
I'm
streamer.
down to do it. I just don't know my schedule. I guess is like the main point that I'm trying to say.
Okay.
I gotta figure it out.
Well, okay,
but
what's
I'm
your
definitely
response
down
to
to do
Andrew's thing? Do you think men can just enforce arbitrary rules on women whenever they please? No, men and women work together, obviously. Men do not have some...
Yeah.
So you're like Jesse Lee Peterson. You think men are inherently better than women.
That's what I said.
I didn't say anything about better. I'm just giving.
You think they
descriptor of
inherently
what is
have-
reality.
Okay,
What's
you
my
know
position,
I'm
Grace?
not...
Tell me what my position.
I'm not a
is.
feminist. You're
The
saying
man
that
doesn't
men
think
can
guns
enforce...
exist.
Men can enforce whatever they want upon women.
Yeah.
That's not
Yeah.
true.
It is true.
Okay, so can you tell Rachel to do whatever you want her to do and she'll listen?
No, because men.
Because you're a man?
Men will protect her rights. But if men decided not to protect her rights, I could. Yeah.
Okay,
But what
so
are
you
her
can
rights?
so if you just decide out of nowhere to not protect her rights and nobody else knows about it, you can just totally not protect her rights and she'll do what
Men
you
is
say.
plural. Men is plural.
Okay, so how
So
would you
I'm
get her to
saying-
do something that you want?
Yes, right.
Like,
Collectively,
are you gonna
men
physically
cannot
assault her, or
I don't even understand the fucking question. What are you asking? me?
collectively men cannot separate themselves from women and enforce arbitrary rules that they decide make
do all the
sense
time.
on women.
Yeah, they can.
Where? Show
In the
me a
Middle East.
society where men and women
Yeah, in the
don't
Middle East, they do it
live in
now.
harmony. They live in harmony.
They
Muslim
live
women
in
are
harmony, yeah,
Muslim.
because they live in harmony because the men allow it. And by the way,
Well, I asked you to give me an example of a society where men and women don't live in harmony.
They
You said the
don't
Middle
live-
East. I said they do live in harmony. You
Okay,
said, well,
okay.
the only reason they live in harmony is because the men
that's
allow
a
it.
whole separate thing. Because living in
When
harmony.
you're ready to be quiet, I'll qualify what my answer.
Well,
right?
you just gave an example that wasn't an example. Then you backtracked.
No, it wasn't. Listen, it was an example, and I'm going to qualify it so that you understand. Okay. Do you think that women in the Middle East would prefer to have more say in their lives or not?
No. I think many of
No.
them believe in Islam. They believe their faith. They do not want
Mm-hmm.
more say. They believe in the Muslim culture. They agree with it.
I agree. Now, let's assume that collectively a bunch of them started to disagree. And the men there said, we don't care if you disagree. You're going to do what we fucking say, bitch.
Yeah, but
what
okay,
could they
but
do?
This is this idea, though. This is this
Answer
idea
my
that
question. What could they
but just
do?
hear me out. That women can have a problem with something in society that has
Uh-huh.
nothing to do with men. It's symbiotic. Women don't have a problem that men don't have, and vice versa. So whatever
what?
the women would have a problem with would be equally affecting the men. They would be talking about it. It would be a discussion. It's not just that women and men are totally separate and that women can have private problems that they rebel against men, and the men have to figure out how to deal with it. It's It's
Why
harmonic.
couldn't they? Why couldn't they? They could leave the discord in this relationship and be tricked, for instance. They could be tricked by the great deceiver into wanting things that maybe aren't so good for them collectively. Men could then step in and they could crush in seconds whatever the uppity women wanted to do. Is that true or not true?
You're saying women can collectively be seduced by Satan, and that's not going to affect men. That's
Well,
going to affect both men and women.
Whether it affects both of them, all things will affect both, but the guarantor of your rights and your actions are done by men, including the guarantor of where you're at right now when you live at home with your dad, is that you live at the grace of a man. And the
That's
truth
not
is,
true.
is that should men collectively decide that grace no longer has grace, and they decide not to be benevolent anymore, there's very little you could do or any woman could do, collectively or not, to stop that.
So you're saying might makes right. So men have
I'm
more physical.
saying-
I agree with you. Men have more physical power than women, but essentially what it comes down to is that men have physical power more than women. Of course, we all agree on that. And so that's what life boils down to: physical power. That's not true, and you're not a Christian if you believe that.
I'm not giving you an ought statement. I'm not saying that it ought to be this way.
I'm saying you're saying
giving
that's
you
how it is.
A descriptor of how it currently is. What ought to be is a symbiosis which reflects the church. That ought to be true. That's
But you're
not
saying
currently
what
what
it
we have
is-
either. But
You're
what
saying
it
what it is might makes right.
Yes,
that
but
is not true.
Ultimately, what it comes down to in the power dynamics between men and women is might. Yes. Might
No,
does
that's not-
in that
That
case
is not true. That is
move
not
society.
true.
Then give me the counterexample.
Okay, you're saying that men just physically are more powerful than women. We agree with that. But you need women to literally procreate, and you need capable
We don't
women to
need them
take
to
care of
have
your
agency
children.
to do that.
You need women to take care of. If you want to go caveman here, you need women to take care of your children. You need women to cook. You need women to clean, keep the household, right? So you need that woman to be on
Slaves?
your side.
Why couldn't you have slaves to do all that?
So slaves do great work. Slaves have a terrible work
Pro-slavery.
ethic.
How do you know?
Monarchy, pro-slavery.
Because if you're a
How do you
slave,
know?
if you're a
Yeah.
slave, you don't want to do what your enslaver is telling you to do. Are you serious?
So, what do you think that women would be able to do about that collectively if men decided to enslave them tomorrow, Grace?
You couldn't do that. You couldn't do
I
that.
just
It's
said-
not possible.
Why couldn't you do that?
How would you go
'Cause
about doing that, Andrew?
You're just making an assertion.
And no,
why
you're
couldn't it
making
be
an assertion.
done?
How would they go about doing that, Andrew?
Done it. They've done it. You have societies, especially in ancient
describe
Greek,
how?
Who's
especially
who's
in
In
enslaved
modern
by men?
America, in modern
Whenever
America,
you
how can you do
just
that?
let me answer the question, you tell me. Okay, so you're gonna shut your
He's
fucking
answered the
traps.
question.
So if you go back, especially to
Oh, he's
ancient,
a big boy. He's
you go-
overcompensating a little
talking.
bit, don't you think?
all right,
A little bit.
well, I'm done then. When you guys are ready to let me
Oh.
talk.
What? So you can give another example of something and then walk
You
it back and
tried-
say, "Well,
you
that was
just-
an
No, but
example."
okay, again,
anything
like-
back.
How would they go about doing that?
You're just talking, right? But you're not listening.
All right, let's
This
let
is a
Andrew
problem of
answer,
women.
let's let Andrew answer the question, and then we can keep going. All right, go ahead.
Well, I'll answer the question, but you have to say please first. Say please.
I'm not going to do it.
Oh, well then fuck off. I'm not answering your question.
Alex, he wants you to beg him. Get on your knees
you,
and beg him.
you girls, if you want me,
Please,
if you want
please.
me to bequeath unto you my expertise and knowledge, say please.
If you're too much of a fucking coward to answer the question because you don't have anything to say, that's fine.
I've already
You can
answered
just
it
move on.
15 times,
Alex,
but you guys
let's
cut
move-
me
Alex,
off.
let's
So
move on. All right. He doesn't want to answer the question. Let's move on.
yeah, say please. Say please first.
Alex, how does your wife feel about you flirting with other women on panels like this? I mean, it's
I
pretty
don't have a
extreme.
wife. You're thinking of Andrew.
Oh, Andrew, sorry.
Let's do A's names.
You're gonna
Andrew-
beg women to say please?
Answer, yeah. Why don't you just answer the question? I mean, the
Now
please
it's
thing is
me begging you to say please. That's an odd
Yeah.
phraseology.
Yeah, you really want us to
Well,
say
you're still
please?
here. You're still here.
Physiology?
You're still here.
I'm just saying, you're the one who made it into a weird sex session, not me.
How is it about sex? Because I asked you to say please. It's called common courtesy. Say please.
So if I yell Rachel loud enough, she'll fix this shit.
All right.
You're not going to say please?
Final decision. Andrew, are you going to answer the question or not? Or
No, there's no reason more to engage with this. They won't
Okay.
listen. It's
Okay.
pointless to listen to a person who won't listen to you.
I'm literally saying just answer the question. And
Okay,
then we stop talking multiple times.
then don't fucking interrupt me. There have been societies in which women have been second-class citizens and enslaved to the whims of men. You can go back to ancient Greece and Rome to see such societies. I can actually pull some of them up. And absolutely, they exist at the whims of men. Now, in modernity, right this fucking second, right now, if men collectively decide that women don't have rights, they won't have rights. There's no argument that you can give me to the contrary. If you have an argument to the contrary, give it to me. Tell me what it is.
Well, you're the one that's making that claim. I think you're have the burden of proof here. How?
By physical force.
What, everyone's going to get into like fist fights with women? Like, that doesn't make
They
any
don't
sense.
need to get into
How?
fist fights with women. All they need to do is be patriarchs inside of a society and determine women can't own property and are essentially all their rights come from their husband, which traditionally has been what's been done in the past. That your rights are established through your husband. You couldn't have a bank account until the 70s for a reason, Nina. It's because
wait.
your rights came from your husband.
Wait. I'll agree with you on one thing. I think both men and women need to be in agreement with how the society functions. And if the society is chosen that women are subservient to men, then okay, both sides will work with that. But have you ever, I don't think you've ever...
No, both sides won't work with that because it can't operate in reverse.
Look, it's hard to just tell a
It
kid
can't
to do
operate
something.
in
Even if you
reverse.
have power over a
Exactly,
kid,
that's
it's
how the
hard to
society's
even just
not
get
gonna
a
be reversed.
kid to do something. You
Not
can't...
hard.
Yes, it is.
No,
if a
it's
kid
not
doesn't want to
hard.
do something and you have power over them, even if you try to convince them, if you try to push them, if you try to... You cannot force people. That's not a long-lasting
You
thing.
can
This
force
doesn't
people.
happen. You can't just... Men, as a collective, cannot just force women to do things.
They've already
It's
done it.
tiring. If it's literally just physical brute force, no, both sides need to be in harmony about it.
No, they don't have to be in harmony.
Okay,
Why would they have to
Andrew,
be in
Andrew,
harmony?
Andrew.
Give
Because
me- tell
otherwise
me
the
what
men are
they
going to get
want to be.
exhausted from being slaved owners of these women, constantly
Oh, yeah,
beating
they're
them
just
physically,
exhausted. It
constantly
would be
exerting
terrible for them.
force to get them to do anything. That's
know
how
what
you're
you-
describing. You're
wait,
saying
hang
like
on.
this is a
I wanna-
potential
I- I-
situation.
Just-
What are you
just
talking
fucking
about?
shit up as you go.
I want to comment on this. I don't think that's true, Grace, because otherwise the South wouldn't have not fought that hard to keep slavery around. I mean, they were pretty determined. So if it wasn't working well, the South would have been like, yeah, sure, let's end slavery. So
That's actually
Andrew, you couldn't get us to say please. You couldn't get us to say please. What you and the rest of the men, the big strong men in the world,
Why?
are gonna get us to fucking be your slaves? You couldn't get us to say please on a live stream.
That's because there's other men who are
That's
around.
Is that
who
because you
enforce
can't
your
beat us
rights.
up in real life? Is that because you're not here with Nina or me and you can't literally physically beat us up to get us to say please?
Yes. That's literally the truth.
No.
It's descriptively true.
I'm really getting more and more worried about Rachel every time that you say anything.
Because I can engage in this with honesty and tell you what's descriptive truth doesn't mean I advocate that that's correct. What part of this don't you understand? What part of that don't you understand?
Yeah,
Are you
this is-
both
you're-
so fucking stupid that you don't understand I can engage in your worldview and destroy it without holding it?
You're literally making the point. You would have to convince us that we should say please to you. Okay? You tried your daddy thing. You tried saying just say please, and we didn't do it. You tried being forceful, right? It didn't work. Neither of us did it, right? So you're saying that's going to work collectively? You couldn't even make it happen. You couldn't even get it up on a live stream, dude.
Already collectively.
No.
Yes.
You just gave the demonstration of how it doesn't work.
Grace, if every guy got together,
It's a demonstration of how it doesn't work. You have men enforcing your rights right now, Grace, you fucking tart. You stupid tart. Right this second.
Men are enforcing my rights?
Yes. Right now. Right this second.
yeah, men
currently.
and women are both enforcing.
No,
her
just
rights.
men.
Yes,
Just
that's
men.
how
Women
the
can't
world
enforce
Just
works.
rights.
men?
Just
Okay.
men.
Just men.
Just men. They're the enforcers of
Just
rights.
men
I'm
because
sorry.
men are physically strong.
Yes. It's really that simple. It's really that
It's just
simple.
like an absolute cope for you that because you just feel like you're like don't have a lot of power. That like your cope post is just to say that because you're like strong.
Literally,
Like,
anytime
you do,
you
like, a
guys
lot of
want to have
physical
a
work,
debate,
right?
anytime you
Like
guys want to have a debate about this,
understand.
you'll get destroyed like every feminist has come before you. There is no argument
I'm a
to this.
feminist
Right?
now.
Yeah, you
I'm a
definitely don't
feminist.
seem a little insecure.
You cannot make the claim that you have inherent rights when you have to beg men for them. You don't have inherent rights.
Would you
get
say the
your
same thing to
rights
black
from
people?
men. You get your rights from men. Yes, men give
Would
other
you
men
say-
rights. Men give other men rights.
Oh, so you would say the same thing to black people?
That all men give other men rights. Yes, and women rights as well. Yes.
Okay, so you don't have any rights without other men.
Okay, so
That's
men
right.
men give other men and women rights.
Yes, that's correct.
Interesting.
Okay, so do women have God-given rights or not, Andrew?
It depends on how you're affording rights. What do you
Oh,
mean?
Do women have God-given rights? You are a Christian.
Subtleties.
You're a Christian. Do women have God-given rights?
What's a God-given right?
Well, you're a Christian. You
tell
should
me,
know.
bitch.
I'm asking you. It's your worldview. You're
It's
Christian
a
too.
right that comes from God, and it is inherent. That right cannot be taken away by society. It can be.
I think I could be convinced of that if God-given rights was framed in the proper dynamic. I could be.
You don't
convinced of
think
that.
women have God-given rights like the right to life, the right to dignity?
I think that they probably have the right. Well, they may have some God-given rights. I'm not sure. It depends on how you frame rights.
So you don't think
We
women?
don't really
So
know.
do
You
men
just
have
stop
God-given
shooting
rights?
it and
Do
tell
men
me
have
what a
God-given
God-given
rights?
right is. Tell me what a God-given right is. Maybe I'll agree with you.
It's a right given to you by God that cannot be taken
Name
away
one.
from
Name
you.
one. Name one.
Okay, the right to life, the right to
No.
dignity.
You don't have a right to life from God. God allows women to die constantly.
Okay, no, I'm not saying that you don't die, but I'm saying the right to
Well, you don't have a
life.
right to life from God, then you fucking idiot.
Well, how about the right to dignity? The right to dignity
What? No, I don't think you have a right to
Are you
dignity.
talking about, like,
God
Andrew, are you talking
allows
about legal
women
rights?
to not be dignified all the time? What are
No,
these
but I'm
God-given
saying
rights?
it's a right. No, I'm not saying you don't understand. A God-given right doesn't mean you have that all the time. It doesn't mean people can't disrespect
then-
those rights.
then
But
you're
it's God-given.
asking-
It's not given by man. It's given by God.
Are you asking if these are unalienable rights from God? The answer would be no. You don't have the right to not die. You don't have the right to not be undignified from God. That
No,
doesn't
it's
seem
not
to be
about
the
whether
case.
rights are not about whether you're allowed to do something or not. Rights are about whether you are
Right.
owed
That's a
this.
positive right.
You're owed
We can
this.
No.
easily clarify this.
It's a
He's
positive right.
not talking about what ought be. He's talking about what actually is. There are no rights that you don't need to appeal to men to enforce. So if someone's violating a right you think you have, who do you go to enforce your rights? The
Men.
police, the military, the government, all men. You don't go to a woman and say, this man
There's
is
no
violating
woman
my
in the
rights.
police
Stop
or
him.
military.
But
No,
you're
No,
just
but
saying
they
okay,
don't
but those
do that.
okay, but those are rights that are like enforced physically. Okay, and you can say everything boils
All
down to the
rights
physical,
are.
but that's not
Yes,
true.
there's always-
that's not
yes,
true.
there's always a nuclear option.
Women protect children's rights. Women protect
Great.
children's rights.
And men
I can
protect
end you in
women's
so
two
do
rights.
seconds.
children not have God-given rights? Only
Great.
women have the
Great.
rights?
Stop yelling.
Do children
Stop
have
yelling.
God-given rights?
Grace can't stop spurging for long enough to listen.
I'm gonna have
Andrew,
to lower
shut the
your mic
fuck
a little
up.
bit, Grace. Okay, there we go. Wait, let me present a little bit of a different, more nuanced point. I was actually thinking about this after the first time we had this debate, Andrew, and I came up with what I call.
Hey, Alex, can I just posit one question for them that I think will finally clear up this stupid shit once and for all?
Good to see you, Rachel. By
If
the
the
way.
if the power grid goes down tomorrow, if there's a massive EMP, there's a massive comet that hits, and the power grid goes out tomorrow, who do you think is going to be in charge? Do you think women or children are going to be enforcing jack shit?
Nope.
What
I
do you
never
think?
said
I would
that.
assume the people that are to their job is that. I don't
Generally,
understand
I'm
why that
men
would
saying
be
that
better.
technology, modern
Overwhelmingly, men
technology
would be
is
more
giving you
competent in that
both the
situation.
illusion. No, you're under an illusion because of modern technology. You think that you don't need men, that you have conceptions like rights. This is all very modern thinking. If for some reason we had a reset
Yes.
and you didn't have air conditioning and computers and cell phones and electricity anymore, none of you would be feminists. There would be no such thing as feminism. And there's a reason if you ever
Okay, but we
bothered
don't
to
live
learn
in that
history,
world. Why
you
does
would
that
know.
matter?
So I'm
that's
saying
not true.
it can always
That's
go
not true. So
back.
you're
It
saying
can
men-
always go back.
saying
And it
men-
has.
Okay, but we
No,
don't
no,
live in
no,
that world.
no. You're
Be
saying
modern.
we do live in that
I
world,
know we
Nina.
don't live in
Let
it.
me
You're saying
demonstrate it.
Don't.
Yes,
You're
I
saying-
will
you're
demonstrate
saying
it. I can
you're
prove it. I can prove it if you shut up. Okay. Did we
You don't have to
just
be a
overturn Roe versus Wade? Did we just overturn Roe versus Wade? Yes,
So now
we
we're
did.
all like in caves.
Do you know that in Afghanistan they put the Taliban back in power and all those beautiful rights women were enjoying are now gone? Do you know that in Russia they granted right to abortion and right to no-fault divorce, which was then taken away in the 1930s? There's same thing in Germany. Weimar Germany had lots of socially liberal
living in
feminist
caves
policies
now?
that were revoked. I'm saying these rights are granted to you by men, by their good graces, and can be taken away at any time and have been taken away multiple times in the modern era. So you're living under a delusion. We're not saying
literally
women
doesn't
ought not
track
have
in any
rights.
single
We're
way.
not. It
Wait,
does.
wait, wait,
It does.
wait, maybe
Total proof.
Maybe we can clarify this. Maybe we all agree.
Because something happened in
There are
other
God-given-
countries.
There are God-given rights to every person. Like, for example, I think Andrew and Rachel would both agree that a fetus has a God-given right to life. It does not.
You're making
it
an
has-
ought
wait,
claim. We think they ought.
Wait.
We're
So
not
those
saying they
God-given
do.
rights are mainly enforced. Like, if it comes down to the physical enforcement of it, are enforced by men. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But in general, men and women both work together to make sure people's rights are upheld. Their God-given
No.
rights.
Sometimes they do.
Yeah, no,
sometimes they
not
don't.
They have to.
necessarily.
They
Men
don't
and
have
women
to.
don't act. They don't act like arbitrarily of each other. That's not the right word, but you know what I mean. Separately.
Sometimes they do.
Independently, yeah.
Yeah,
Let me
sometimes
actually
they
make
do.
they
my
often do.
let me make my point because this is an interesting point. I think that's going to cause you guys to maybe have to reflect on this. So I call this the floodgates argument. I was thinking about this after the first debate Andrew had about this. So I'm gonna be a little long winded, but I'm gonna bring it back. So for a long time, right, like black people had no rights, right? But once we got rid of slavery and once we ultimately got rid of Jim Crow in the 60s, right, black people came into power. And at this point, white people could not really take rights away from black people. But 100 years ago, yeah, for sure, they needed to rely on white people to get their rights. I would say it's the same thing with women, right? So for a long time, women couldn't vote, and at that point, yes, they relied on the benevolence of men for their rights. But now that they have the right to vote,
No, they
right,
didn't.
wait, hang on, let me finish. But now that they have the right to vote, right, the floodgates have been open, and I think at this point, because the floodgates are open, I don't think that men would be able to just completely exclude them from power.
So your entire argument is a slippery slope argument.
How so?
Well, because you're
No,
saying
it's not
that
super slow.
because you're saying that the descriptor here is that because X thing happened, right? Then this means that X thing cannot be retracted, and that's not true. It can be retracted. You can still take rights away from black people. You could still take rights away from women. You could
but
still
we're
take
talking
rights
about
away from
legal
children.
Rights. We're talking about legal
Not just
rights.
yeah. So when we're talking about if you're talking about metaphysical rights, Grace, you still haven't really told us what a metaphysical right is. You say that babies, for instance, have a right to life from God, but babies die, Grace. So what is the right to life from God?
A right to life from other people.
But I
They
think
have a
it's
right to
it's
not
not-
be killed. They
wait,
have a
wait,
right
let me
to
just-
their
No,
I
life.
she
haven't
said
talked
legal
about that all.
rights.
I haven't talked to
But if we're talking about legal rights, if we're talking about
let me just talk to you. I'm the host. Just let me get a few
I
words
think we
in.
need
You
to
guys
be clear about
give it
what we're
back to
talking
Victory.
about here.
Do you think instead of saying rights being granted by men, it would be more accurate to say rights being granted by people in power?
No, because men are always
Men are the
going to
people in
inevitably
power.
be the people in power because of the strength dynamic difference.
Men have the nuclear option to use force, and there's nothing women
Correct.
can do about
Nothing.
it. This is an ought-is gap.
Are you
guys
under
think
duress,
we're
Rachel?
Well,
Like,
perfect.
this
you
is
guys
so
think we're
psychotic.
arguing. No, shut the fuck up and you might learn something. You don't understand
About
the
what?
difference between an ought claim and an is claim. We're not telling you what we think ought to be. We're not telling you a description of how we think the world should run or what rights people should have. We're telling you these are concepts that are subject to change, and that when it comes down to it, men are the ones that have the monopoly on force. Technology hasn't changed that. Nothing's ever going to change that, because even with technology, I'm a firearms instructor. I teach women to shoot. Most of them don't have the hand strength to properly operate a semi-automatic pistol. Most of them need
Rachel-
multiple lessons to get over the loud noise. They don't like the loud noise. So if you think women
Okay.
are going to take over at any
Rachel,
point,
do you-
you're completely deluded.
Well,
You're
one's saying-
strong
one
and
is-
nobody
one is
said
saying
that
it's
women are
they're
going to
Can
take
you,
over.
Rachel,
But you
Rachel,
just have this
could you do-
ridiculous idea that men can decide to do things and women don't need to be in harmony with them. Men and women
don't.
work together.
They don't.
Men
They
do
don't
not
have to be.
They don't have the power to just arbitrarily enforce
You
whatever
keep
the fuck they feel
asserting
like.
that. You just assert that. You're not making
Yeah.
an argument for
Rachel,
it.
does Andrew have the power to enforce whatever he wants on you if he chooses, if he so chooses?
This
and
is
the only
not
thing,
about
no, No.
you
Answer my
can't make an
question. Answer my
individual. No,
question.
because
Answer
you're
my
that.
question. That's a fair question. Does he have the
the
right to
answer's no.
enforce
The
whatever he
answer's
wants
no.
on you
Yeah,
if he
yeah,
backs
because
it up
you're
with
saying it,
physical
Andrew.
power? Does he?
We're
Does he?
talking about men versus
Does he?
women,
No,
not an
answer the
individual
question.
relationship.
No, you're not
You need to
now you're
answer
not
the
gonna answer the
question. That's
No, I don't.
It
And
was
by the way,
it was a
while
Okay, then I
I'm
win.
here,
Then I
while
win.
I'm here,
Then I win.
shut your face, shut your stupid mouth,
I
because
win.
the two
No,
of you
I
are both
win, you
constantly
stupid
on
cunt.
here,
I win. I
concerned,
win. You didn't answer
trolling.
the question. You didn't answer the
Shut
question.
She did
up,
answer the
Grace.
question. She
You
said
are
no.
so annoying.
Alex,
Just
come on.
stop
Okay,
interrupting
so the
people.
answer is no. So Andrew cannot enforce whatever
Both
he wants
of you
on you.
need to
It's
stop
about the men.
concerned
Yes, that's
trolling
correct.
and acting like I'm in an abusive relationship. Stop acting. I steamroll both of you dumb bimbos
I think
regularly.
he's in an abusive
I'm not the
relationship with
person
you.
who's abused. I'm not the
You're a
person who's
raging
abused,
bitch.
Grace.
You're the abuser, if anything. But I don't care what the hell your relationship is. I'm saying your logic is wrong.
Why?
You're so jealous.
What's
Hey,
the
that's
logic?
just
Which part of the logic
normal
is
question.
wrong?
So jealous.
Is
Okay.
her answering no, that I can
What?
enforce whatever I want on her an argument to men collectively being able to do so, you idiot?
Okay, well, can I ask a simple
Because
question
if
that
you
related to
can't
what we're
enforce
talking
whatever
about?
you want on
You
her,
could if Grace would ever shut up.
Collectively, that means men
No,
can't?
I want her to get her point across.
Collectively,
if
that means
she
men can't, Grace, you fucking moron? Is that what you're saying, Grace?
never mind that. Women have taken over
Never
anyways.
mind that.
Women have taken over anyways. Women have taken over anyways. Women have all the power in this society. So it's not true. Women have all the power in society. If a
Until
woman
men say they don't anymore.
If
That's
men
right.
could
Okay,
take
so-
it back
so wha-
tomorrow if they wanted to.
So why don't they? Because
How?
it sucks for men.
How?
It
Why
sucks for
not?
men.
How?
Is it-
Wait, no,
hold
hear
on.
me out. If a woman accuses a man of rape, his life is destroyed. No matter how it's instantly destroyed. His credibility is ruined, even if
Yeah.
it's completely false.
Because
okay, so that sucks
enforcers-
for men.
because
that sucks
male
for men.
enforcers
So
enforce
why wouldn't
women's-
men
yeah.
take the power back and say, "Well, no, we're not doing that anymore"?
Because of
Why haven't they
simp-
done it yet?
Because of power dynamics of simps. Yeah. There's lots and lots of men
This seems
who
like there's a
will
lot of power then,
enforce
huh?
who will enforce women's rights on their behalf, and a lot of men who are outnumbered by those people. That's why. But you're
Seems like
right,
the
it
women are
doesn't-
doing a really good job of getting them Sims, huh? Seems like
They
they're getting a
are.
lot of power
I've
there.
I totally
from it.
agree.
Hey,
Totally agree.
I've got a good question for these girls. Do you guys think that women wanted the vote?
I think most women didn't want the vote actually during that time period.
Oh, I thought you said to devote. Did you say to vote?
No, the vote. Did they want the right to vote?
Yeah, literally, they did a shit ton of work to try and get that. Yes.
No,
No,
you're
most women-
wrong.
most
You're
women
wrong.
didn't. Most women didn't.
Only 4% of women wanted to be able to vote when the 19th Amendment was passed. It was passed by men. It was passed by powerful, rich men who wanted
Well,
to double the
how
tax base.
how else would it have been passed?
No.
Exactly.
motherfucker.
That's exactly right, Nina. How else would it have been passed? It wouldn't have. It was men.
Well, because
Grace,
that's how the
just
system
played
of government
yourself.
worked.
You just
It's like
played
being
yourself.
like pissed off that.
All right,
no,
hang on.
how is that all saying
Hang on.
that?
Hold up. You can debate Rachel in 2 seconds. Let me address this. All right, Grace, I've already given you
Go
one
ahead.
warning. This is the final warning, right? If you want to come on, you're more than
Waste your
welcome.
time. They're just trying to
But-
slip
but-
it in at this point.
But no, what's not going to happen on my watch? But Ben, you cannot come on today. You can come on any other time. It's not going to be today. I've already told you it's not going to happen. So there's no point trying to sneak
appreciate
in
that.
or do any of that. It's not going to work. So once I see
Grace, you just got banned by a man, Grace.
once
Exactly.
well, she's not banned. But once I see
I'm
Grace back
joking.
on the screen, I will bring you back on. But yeah, don't do that again. Okay.
Gonna
Submit
do it.
to the man
Yeah,
who's
she's gonna
running
do
the
it
show,
again.
Grace.
Well, if she does it again, then she'll be kicked off.
Yeah, the guys running the show. Like, what do you think? We gotta overcompensate constantly?
Well, this
and all
really
like
has
that?
nothing
Like,
to do with me being a man.
fine.
It has to do with me being the host. But yeah.
Yeah, right.
Hey Alex, hey Andrew, I let your backup come on. I let your backup bulldog come on. Why don't you let mine?
I didn't ask
Ooh,
anybody
she's
to come
mad.
on.
Look
I
at her
didn't bring
face.
anybody
Look at how
on.
red her face is.
Who did I
Grace,
bring
to be
on?
fair,
Oh.
I personally don't like when your father's around. He's weird with me.
He's super creepy.
Okay.
Everybody thinks he's creepy.
But Andrew,
you.
Andrew is not a feminist. Andrew is not, he doesn't hold your viewpoints.
Talk back, right, Andrew?
Nope. Stay away, Ben.
Andrew prefers debating women because he can't handle talking to a real man.
Yeah, I've never debated a man. That's true.
I don't think he can really handle
Only
talking
like
to women
100.
either.
I mean, that's like
You
that's
know that my
that's-
dad is not going to make any sexual comments. He's going to argue the logic.
Your
He's going to
dad,
argue the
your
logic.
dad is
He
a ruthless
literally
clout
does that to me
chaser.
all the time.
He's a ruthless
Okay, Nina,
clout
but he's-
chaser. That's it. I don't
You're
care
a
about him.
ruthless
Okay.
clout chaser.
You're
Everybody on
for-
YouTube
who's-
is a ruthless clout
No,
chaser.
not
We all
everybody
want
is.
clout.
Some
You're
people-
a pussy who won't
Some
talk.
people-
You know he wants to talk to you about the
Bro.
logic.
Some people want to intersect their value structures with the things that they do. The only reason that I gave you the benefit of the doubt is because I saw you do that for the first time the other day during a stream, and I was super impressed by it. But you fucked it all in seconds because you're under.
Because you're a fucking pussy. You're a fucking pussy who won't talk to a man. Why won't you talk to him? Why won't
I don't? So I don't talk to men.
Why won't you talk to him?
Why do I need to talk to him? I've talked to him before.
It has nothing to do with his gender.
Why won't you let him talk? Why won't you let him talk?
Why do I need to? Why do I? Why do
You
I
should have a reason.
Why do I have to sacrifice my time for Ben
Andrew
Thorpe?
debates guys all the time. He's debated me like countless times. It has
Okay,
nothing
why
to do
won't
with
he
how
debate
your
dad?
dad's a
My
man.
dad.
I
Why
have
won't he
debated
debate
your dad.
He just
I
doesn't
have.
like your dad,
Okay,
man.
why won't you let him come up here and make a point?
How much
Make
of
a
my
simple
time do
point.
I owe Ben Thorpe? How much
Why
time
won't-
do I owe him?
It's not just about you, Andrew. It's about the show in general and the point that's being
And
made
the
here.
show-
Why
the show
can't
I was
you make a
invited.
point?
Yeah, enough,
Why will
Grace.
you not let him come up
Stop.
and make a
He just
point?
doesn't want to
Him.
talk to your
You're
dad,
don't
that
man.
owe
afraid.
He
He
You're
doesn't
that
have
afraid.
to talk to your stupid,
Rachel,
weird,
I'm not
fat
talking to you.
dad.
Shut your, as you said, shut your stupid bitch ass mouth up. I'm not talking to you.
I don't need to
I'm
talk to your
talking to
dad.
Andrew.
I'm not going to talk to your dad.
I deserve
Go
better
fuck himself.
enemies. Can you get any women with an IQ over 80 on this damn thing?
No,
just
it's
once?
not possible.
Yeah, I know.
Whoa. Do not insult my very limited PWF female audience, okay? I need to support them, not push them away.
You're a fucking pussy. You're a fucking pussy who won't let a man make a point. You won't let a man make a
It
point.
has nothing to do with your dad being
You're a
man.
red-faced crybaby.
Well, you disagree with everything your
Come on
husband
cam,
does.
Rachel,
I don't
let's
know
see your
if
pretty
there's
face.
actually like
Come
a
on
literal
cam.
IQ at that point.
I'm busy. I'm cooking in the kitchen. I've
Okay,
been
well get back
baking
to
all
cooking
day.
your M&M cookies. Get
Wait,
back to cooking that and get the
Cookstream,
fuck off the
Cookstream,
internet.
let's fucking
I thought you were a
go.
trad
Yours and your
woman.
phone?
Get the fuck off the panel, bitch. I thought you were a trad woman. Get back to cooking, sweetheart. Pregnant, barefoot in the kitchen, right?
What, are you
on your
Turn off the
phone?
Wi-Fi.
Wait.
Turn off the
Turn on-
Wi-Fi.
Wait, turn
That's
on.
not very
I
traditional
disagree.
of
Turn
you.
on the camera. I want to see the cooking.
There's so much right now. I've never seen
I
that
want to
much.
see
see.
the
No, I'm
M&M
doing the
cookies that
opposite.
you
I want
post
to see
on
the
your
camera.
Instagram.
I want to see the cookies.
I think
If
Andrew's
you're on your
eating something.
phone, turn on the
Right
camera.
here, I'm
I wanna
eating
see
the
your
fucking
cookies.
cookies.
Yeah,
right
those
now.
are
What are you
real
talking
difficult
about?
to make. Those are real tough
Hold
to
on.
make. You're a
So
real
what are you
trad woman.
cooking now?
Go ahead. Show it all off. Show it all off. You're a
Okay,
trad woman
let me,
who shows
just
off her
get out-
cooking on the
Hold
internet.
on,
That's real
hold on,
traditional.
hold
That's
How are the
real
cookies,
traditional.
Andrew? Are they delicious?
All right, I don't know. You're getting
Fucking
so
delicious,
mad.
it's true.
I'm
But they're
legitimately
just a little
curious.
bit more delicious with the tears of Grace Thorpe. It just like it adds that extra flavor to them, you know.
I can't believe
Hold
you're such a
on, hold
pussy. You
on.
will
I'm
not let him
gonna
come
grant
on
their
panel.
wish. I'm
You're
just taking
such
all
a
my
pussy.
food out that I just.
Do you realize how much of a pussy that makes you? You know that he's not going to do anything crazy. He wants to make a logical point. You won't hear out his point. How much of a fucking pussy are you, dude?
Yeah, I gotta take Andrew's
see
side.
my
Man. There's certain people I don't want to talk to. It has nothing to do with them being men. It's just there's certain people you don't want to talk to.
Why doesn't he want to talk to my dad? Because he's clout-based.
Well, that's a question for him. I have no idea what they're.
Okay, so his reason is
So
bullshit. He's
there's
afraid.
the cookies, you stupid bitch, that I just made. Here's the sheet
Wow,
pan
here's
and
the
the other.
validation you wanted.
Wow.
Here's the validation.
See,
You're
I'm
you're
actually
begging
telling
for.
the truth.
Here's the
Grace.
validation.
You
Here's
fucking
the
You
demanded
validation.
demanded it. You implied
You
that I was lying.
Good for
You
you.
implied that I was lying and that I wasn't actually
No,
baking.
Hey, here's
so I
a
just
tip.
thought
Here's
I'd
a
prove
tip.
it.
Here's a tip. Focus on the debating or the cooking. One or the other. Don't
Why
try
don't
to
you-
mix-
I
try
can
to
do
mix it
both.
up.
I'll be honest. I don't think either
have
one
enough
of you are really doing that.
multitasking
So
abilities for
You
that.
at both things, Grace.
I can beat you at anything and everything all at once.
Ooh, cooking competition?
Good one.
On
Grace, can you not
anything
cook her?
competition.
I don't
Rachel,
know
why
what
don't you Rachel, why don't you go talk about how you see women's asses in the gym and you can't tear your eyes away again, okay?
What?
Oh,
We love
You're
that
so
for you.
bizarre.
Burn.
How about we have
How
a
you see
book
their
writing
asses jiggling
contest
around.
Rachel,
and
you
where
can
we
talk
have
later
a who
about
has
that.
the most
Ass
subs
is
I
hard.
read
contest.
your book.
Rachel,
I
you
read
can
your
message
book.
me later
I
about
read your
that.
book. I read your book.
Yeah.
Did you have an editor? I don't think
You
so.
can you can
My
read.
best-selling book that I've made a lot of money off of,
Did you
that
have
a
an
lot of
editor on that
famous
one?
people
Did you
have
have an editor?
endorsed.
Good for you.
Actually, I did not, and I've talked
Oh,
about that.
surprise! That's a shocker.
Well,
But I
where's your
have a
book, Grace?
publisher and an editor now for book number 2
Are you
because
trying
the
to break
first
out
one
of
was
the
such a
I thought women
success.
should shut up and stay in the kitchen.
Jerry.
I thought women should shut up and stay in the kitchen, not be
Well,
writing
If you
books.
read my book,
Writing
you'd
books,
know that's not
writing
my
books,
position.
shooting guns, and going on panels and debating. I thought women were supposed to stay in the kitchen.
I'm
She
pretty
has her husband's
badass,
permission.
huh?
She has
She
her
shoots
husband's
the guns
permission.
from the kitchen.
Yeah, she
Oh,
has my
right. You
permission.
husband
bodybuild
taught
and
me.
shoot guns in the kitchen while
Yeah.
you're making cookies. Right.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
That's very
I do.
traditional. That's
What's
very-
I'm pretty
Untraditional.
badass, I gotta say.
Oh yeah,
I can do it all.
Women bodybuilding is totally traditional. Yeah.
You're such a refaced man. Why don't you calm down,
So
Grace?
mad.
Yeah. just pumping up, just getting the pumps in while making the cookies, dude. It's just
Rachel,
totally
what's your
traditional
opinion on
And
feminism.
Ashley?
homeschooling the kids. What?
What's your opinion on Ashley?
Who's Ashley?
The Ashley who's usually on Modern Day Debate, who I debated against.
She's my friend. I would appreciate it if you
Yeah,
didn't, like,
yeah.
No, I wasn't
Oh,
actually going to
never mind,
bash her at
sorry.
all because Ashley
just
actually
curious.
is a fan of me. She and I had like a really great moment
Right.
on Modern Day Debate where we had like a really nice heart to heart. And I made a community post when I was in the hospital, and she was like praying for me and asking if I was okay. So we're actually on very good terms. We have a lot of differing views, but she's actually like pretty nice when
She's a
you're just,
person
like,
you can actually discuss things with.
Yeah, she's not a
Unlike
crazy
the
raging banshee.
reeing fucking mess that we have in front of us today.
So, Andrew,
Okay,
you
Rachel,
didn't
so
you
you
didn't
weren't
see the
cooking
conversation
anything.
I
You
had
showed
with
us
her.
your already baked cookies. So turn the camera on. Let's see your pretty little face. Let's go ahead. Come on. Come on. You're not cooking
Great.
anything.
Is there
I'm not
anything?
You showed
taking any
everything
more
in Tupperware.
demands from you.
You showed all your
come
Tupperware.
on. Let's,
Come on,
chill.
camera. Let's see it. You
Why don't
came
you?
at me
Hang on.
physically.
I'll tell you
came
what.
at me
Hang
physically.
on.
Let's
I'll
go.
tell you what,
Let's go.
Grace. That seems fair. Go grab your panties and fucking lick them, and then she'll come on like you've done before on stream.
No, I didn't come at her for anything physical because she's not brave enough.
Why do you?
Alright,
Why do you?
fine.
Just get the fuck out of here, Grace.
All right,
You're just
I'm gonna, okay,
ringing.
this
You're
is
out
a
of your-
little
you're out
off
of your
the rails
real-
Okay, you
here.
just wanna
Okay,
call
okay,
everything
all right,
ringing when I make a point.
all right. Chill.
alright,
This
yeah,
seems like really
I'll-
interpersonal. I don't understand what the fuck you're talking about. So
I'll
Two
redirect.
middle-aged adults have to tag team against a 20-year-old, and you still fucking
No.
lost. Bye.
Nina's reasonable. Nina is reasonable, and you can talk to her. And actually, Nina deserves a lot of credit
she
because
has left. She has left. It's
Grace-
fine.
that's
It-
fine.
Grace
she's
did
not
spur
listening.
pretty hard there.
I was trying to give Nina some credit because
Yeah, I like
to
Grace.
her-
No, it's
to her
fine.
credit,
I don't
people-
need your feigned credit. It's fine.
It's not
I
feigned
do
credit.
love you,
I'm
Rachel.
just saying. No,
but-
I'm just saying. Like the concern trolling annoys me, but you do come on and you do these debates and you try to engage in good faith and you try to sort this shit out. Grace doesn't do that. Grace just screams at people. I'm just saying, Grace is just she's.
It
got
seems
a
like if we
personal
were in the
weird
exact
beef
same
with me.
opposite situation, you would say the exact same thing about her and the exact same thing about me. So you don't
Well,
have
yeah,
to do this.
that would be logical if you were in the reverse situation.
I appreciate
she said
talking to
that
you,
about the
Rachel.
other
It's
one,
always nice.
she would be right.
Andrew, can I please talk to Rachel?
Well, no, I need to correct this though.
Oh
because
no, I
you
can't
just
talk to her.
literally-
Okay,
You just
I guess we're
literally
not allowed
said,
to talk to each other.
hey, if the roles
Oh,
were reversed,
Jesus.
you would say the same thing about her to me,
'cause
which she
I'm
should.
asking her opinion on it. So why are you answering for her, my guy? Jesus fuck! I'm just saying,
I can fucking engage in the panel, you
Oh,
crazy
okay,
snake.
so-
I can engage in the fucking panel. What are you
Andrew,
talking about?
let Nina ask the question. To be fair, she hasn't talked much in the last 10 minutes. Go
Jesus
ahead.
fuck. I was just asking, do you think that you would feel the same way if it was like the reverse? Because I just feel like you kind of just don't like either one of us, and that's fine.
No, there's a whole backstory with Grace that you don't know about. There's been crazy
Ooh, tell me.
behind the scenes. Oh, well, I can't even tell you. It's like a year-long saga of them chasing us and harassing us and pestering us, doxing us. They're literally insane, and I'm not joking. They're creepers. They're psycho creepers. So the whole Grace thing has nothing to do with like ideology. I disagree with you totally on ideology. But I can engage in debate and conversation with you. I can't do that with her because she's unhinged and insane. So that's the difference.
What are your opinion on snickerdoodles?
Not really a fan. I'm more of like a white chocolate macadamia or like a chocolate chip person.
Oh, you get fancy with it. Okay, I know Andrew loves the M&Ms, right?
I like chocolate chip too.
Chocolate chip.
I did find it kind
He
of
gets
weird
fancy
how,
with it.
how Ben kept trying to like sneak on. Like I don't know. I find that.
Yeah,
shit
no,
kinda-
that was making me uncomfortable. I didn't like that at all.
Yeah. Okay. Let's.
Well,
There's
nobody
a
likes Ben
history
because
apparently there.
he's a piece of fucking shit. So why would anybody like him? So it's like it's pretty simple.
All right. I want to bring on the next person because I do want to wrap up soon. Rachel, appreciate you coming on. We'll
Sure.
see you next time. Have a good
Love you,
night.
Rachel.
Okay.
Good to hear from you.
Take it easy. Oh, sorry. Let me bring on Radical Code. Yes.
What up?
What's going on?
Hello,
Good to see you, everyone. Hey, how's it going? I actually wasn't planning on coming up, but the chat started. Like a few people in the chat told me to, and I was like, okay. I mean, I thought Alex was wrapping up soon, but if not, then I mean,
Yeah, I want to, but yeah.
okay. Well, I guess I only tuned into like the end of it. But I've heard Andrew talk about this whole the whole like men. If all the men like collectively got together and decided to take away women's rights, they wouldn't have rights. first of all, like even I guess like even if I agreed to like the whole thing, like I don't know like what the point of the argument is. Like, is there like anything to like meaningfully draw from that? Like what
there is
conclusion?
a point to the argument.
Okay. Yeah, like where does it go from there?
Do you want to hear it?
Yeah, I do.
You want to?
Yes.
Okay, so the argument's pretty simple. That men and women can't actually be in an egalitarian relationship. It's not possible because the power dynamic is structured in such a way that you cannot beg or request your rights from a group and then be equal with that group.
Okay, so I guess like there's a pinnacle of egalitarianism that can never be reached no matter how hard we try. Is that kind of the thing? So like I guess like is that an argument against like trying to strive for that pinnacle?
Well, it's not an ought claim; it's just a descriptive is.
Okay, so I mean I guess like what I would say then, like even if I agreed to all your premises, which I don't think I do, but even if I did, like
well, then
I guess I'd just say
the
like
premise of the is claim. I don't want to hear.
Can I finish my sentence?
Yeah, no, if it's an ought claim.
Okay, well I don't know. Well, no. I'm saying even if I grant you your is claim.
No, I want you to disagree.
I know what you want. I know what you want. I'm not here to give you what you want. I'm just here to say. I'm just here to say my piece.
If you're going to argue against a non-argument, you're going to fucking piss me off.
I'm just adding more information.
Do you have a problem with the is claim?
I'm not sure. I'll have to think about it more. But
I don't care about anything else you have to say.
Well, you don't have to listen to me. You can like Alex brought me on to say my piece and let me do it. All right, don't cry about it. Don't cry about it. I would say that what I think the implication of what when you argue this, when you say that we can never reach this egalitarian society, I think that the implication there is that we shouldn't also try to reach that pinnacle. I would just say I think we should still strive for that pinnacle, even if at some point we find some inequality still exists among men and women that are like. That are opt-in or that are a matter I misspoke. Either opt-in or just a matter of a fundamental truth about reality.
Claims.
Right. Okay.
I just want to know what your problem is with my is.
Let's go back to the is. Okay. So first of all, when you talk about all these societies where most men or where all men like collectively decided to oppress all women, that I don't think that's ever really existed either, because it's not like all men have ever been able to like democratically control like the structure of society in that way. Like it was normally like a small minority of men always who have been able to call the shots in this regard. So it's not like
so
all men never locked arm in arm and decided to oppress women.
So men.
Yes, a tiny subset of men, right?
But men.
Who had authority over larger sets of men who they could have enforce stuff.
That's part of my argument is that men also.
Then I don't disagree with that part of your argument.
Right. So then there's nothing wrong with my descriptive is. This entire argument has been about my descriptive is. The argument with Pharaoh was about my descriptive is. The argument with the Duke was about my descriptive is. But you don't actually have a fucking problem with my descriptive is, do you?
At least not in the way I've described it. No, I don't think so.
No, I don't think so, because it's logical and it's the only thing that is actually true.
Then.
It's pretty much meaningless. It's only meangless if there's pushback on that. It's true, which there has been nothing.
Wait,
but
so your main argument is
true.
Because it is. That means that it will always be.
It doesn't mean anything. You fucking twit. It just is an is statement. There's no greater meaning of ought for the 800th time.
Nothing matters at all.
Well, I don't even believe you though. I'm very skeptical when you say there's no ought, because I feel like you wouldn't.
I can't take it. I can't take it anymore. You're too.
I feel like you wouldn't. I feel like you wouldn't be arguing.
It does seem like you're very weak.
People are too stupid. Why? How can you be this dumb? How can you be this fucking stupid?
It's just are you making an argument? Are you making an argument that we're stupid, or are you just saying that?
The argument that you're stupid is you don't know the difference between is claim and an ought claim. That's pretty fucking stupid.
But I do, because I've been engaging
we're
with it.
so stupid. Yeah, also, like, we've been engaging with it. But even if we're going to go with that, like, are you really going to say that that's worth just to punch you in the face because somebody's on it? Do you punch yourself in the face when your child doesn't understand something that you say?
Oh, God, just enough. Enough, Nina. I can't take it.
No, okay. So it seems very weak of you, but okay.
Yeah, I've only addressed it 800 times. I mean, like...
You've addressed it 800 Wait, you've addressed it 800 times?
At what point do I look at a fucking wall and say, look, I've explained this 800 times. You just
Have you addressed it a single time? Have you addressed it a single time?
Yes, I've addressed it. This is an is claim, not a not claim. I don't know how many times.
That's how you address. You just said an is claim and an is a not claim.
No, it isn't a not claim.
What if we keep pushing towards a more egalitarian society and eventually it does actually become that? Then would you like accept that your premises are wrong? Like if we just have reached this world somehow?
Yeah, I would.
What would that look like to you? I'm curious.
I don't think it's possible.
Yeah, but what? Like, imagine it. Like, be creative.
Imagine it because it's not possible.
It's like out of the realm of.
Can't even imagine it.
Interesting.
To be honest,
it feels like you have a limited imagination.
That it's logically. You could say it's logically possible.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm asking you to describe, right?
Yeah, but I don't know what that would look like.
Okay, fair enough. I believe you.
Oh, Okay, so you just think that we should live in this world that you can't.
You would have to have
imagine.
like men. You would have to set up the situation where men essentially had either the same strength as women or a lesser amount of strength than women physically.
But
And
physical strength doesn't mean anything right now.
yes, it still does mean something. Where you get this
I
idea
mean, in
that
terms
it
of like
doesn't.
we're talking about like governance.
Yes, even with governance, it means something.
How?
Because men tend to follow men who are strong, which is why men are always in
Physically?
fucking charge.
How much
Yes,
do you think Joe
physically,
Biden?
too.
You know, Joe Biden won the election. Do you think how much do you think he benches?
I have no idea. He's an old man. What's your point?
Okay, so if
Biden
because you're
conventional.
saying that people follow strength, physical strength. So
Well, I'm not
if,
going to get into what I
the
think
Ro-
about
if
the
the Rock,
election. Nina.
no, if the
I'm not going
Rock,
to get
if
into
the
what I think about
Rock,
the election on
if
YouTube.
the Rock were doesn't, yeah, I don't want you to. If the Rock were to run for president, you think he'd win?
I think that he would have a better shot than some spindly, weak man. Yeah.
Like Joe Biden?
Well, I don't know if it would necessarily be Joe Biden. Strength
Do
can
you
be
think
emulated.
Joe Biden is stronger or weaker
It's
physically?
not the only qualia, Nina.
But you said strength.
Yeah, strength is the primary qualia for egalitarianism. So
Okay.
I think in order for you to have
Okay. No, it's not.
for you to have Ryan's utopia of actual egalitarianism for
Oh,
a
so
logical
you're-
possibility,
No,
you
Andrew,
would
do you think that?
you
so
need to let me
think
finish
that,
my answers or don't ask me questions.
No, I think that if you're asking it or answering some other
You
weird
don't
question
even
that I didn't
understand what I'm
ask,
saying.
that I think I can cut you off with that. That's
What
why
am
that's
I-
what I'm asking.
I
Do you
am.
think
I'm
that,
answering
like,
directly to what
the
you asked.
president's. Do you think that The Rock would have a higher chance than Joe Biden, and explain as to why or why not?
No, I don't. But I can't really get into
So
the
why is it
reasons.
strength?
I can't really get
Oh,
into
you
the
can't get
reasons
into
why I
it.
think why
Okay.
not because of YouTube restrictions.
Are you just
So
gonna
anyway,
be racist? What do you mean?
Wait, in a hypothetical, what's the issue?
Because you can't talk about election stuff on YouTube, Alex. You get hit with
What
misinformation.
does that have to do with The
and they take your
Rock?
channel down. Well, because you asked me
you
what external factors would you, Andrew, say would be a limiter to The Rock against Joe Biden? I don't just think.
I didn't say that at all.
Andrew, blink twice if Trump won the election.
So you just lie.
No,
I got a
don't
sense that
lie.
you were just lying about the things that I say. And now I realize you just lie. That's not
What am I lying
said.
about?
What I just said.
What did
Do
you
think I
just
said
say that I
there's
lied
a
about?
limiter on that?
Well, what
I
else
said
would it be? You asked who I thought would be more likely to win.
No, but you said that
saying
you couldn't
you
say
speak
that.
the
You
quality of
fucking
why.
liar. God
What am
damn,
I
you're
lying
pathetic.
about, you fucking lunatic? What am I
You're
lying about?
lying about what I said.
What? What part of it?
Repeat what you said that I
So-
said. We can go
so
back
You're
and
asking me, you said, who do you think would win in this election? I said, I can't really give you my true opinion because
That's
some
not
of the
even what you just said. How much
It's what I
this,
just
like,
said.
contagious to you that you have to just keep lying?
What am I lying about? I don't know what I'm lying about.
I'm talking about The Rock and fucking Joe Biden, my guy, and you're like on a different level here.
Yeah, I am on a different level. That's true.
Yeah, because you're not making any, because you're lying. That's how that works.
No, I'm telling the truth. That's how that works.
Okay, so what did you say that you're telling the truth?
What I'm saying is that there's some things that I can't speak to on YouTube. If Alex gives me the nod, even
Okay,
though he
so
could get in trouble,
he
I'll
doesn't
talk.
even
I'll
understand.
speak to
I
it.
don't.
He
I
doesn't
don't
even
give a
understand
crap.
what he said.
I talk
Okay,
about
so
what
the elections are rigged, Nina. They're fucking rigged. They're completely
So-
fucking rigged. Do I think that The Rock, if he declared
Yes,
himself to be a
so that
presidential
is you lying.
candidate,
That's you lying. What facts do you
No,
have?
that's
What
me
facts do
telling
you
the
have,
truth.
Andrew? Andrew, show me any facts. Literally any information that would prove that.
we can come back for an
Well,
election debate.
No. Right now. One source. Literally one source.
Okay, so let's take a look at. I can actually give you the group. I just had this
The group? No,
discussion
I want one
earlier.
source. I'm asking you a
This
source.
is
I'm not asking
you
for a
fucking
group.
twit. Calm down. This is a fucking source.
You
So
can
this
just call it the C
particular
word if you want to.
So this particular source, I'm trying to remember what their names are, but they did a.
Okay.
This was in Pennsylvania, and this group actually came out against
Mm-hmm.
what was going on with the election fraud. So
Mhm.
just asking me to, kind of
Mhm.
cite off the top of
Mhm.
my head different sources for a debate I wasn't here to have.
I'm not asking you to do it off the top of your head. I'll give you time.
Okay,
take a
then
second.
give me a second, and I'll pull it up.
While you're pulling
Okay,
that
I'll run
up,
to
can
the
I
bathroom.
just a little bit of pushback on it? I don't know if I believe you when you say there's no ought. I mean, I understand your argument doesn't have an ought claim baked into it, but I think the implication of the reason you're so
I'm
you're
sorry.
making this
one of the
argument.
where did she go?
She
I
said
just
she was
had
going to
it
the
in
bathroom
front
while
of
you
me.
pulled it up, so we can talk for a second while that's happening.
Okay.
Like it feels to me like the reason that you have this argument over and over, and like that you've like dug your heels in so hard on this particular argument, like unless you're just like you just want to prove that you're right about this.
It's not an argument.
Okay,
It's an is.
Yeah. Okay. Your perspective on this descriptive claim of reality, right? Like the reason you've hammered down so much on this over and over, it feels to me that like you would do that because
I don't care how you
think
feel.
there's some. I understand that you don't have to. Let me talk. Then you don't have to care. I'm just speaking. Okay. Let me talk. I'm giving you my perspective on my description of reality. Okay. We're exchanging these, and I'm telling you from my perspective, it feels like you would be making this argument over and over because you do think there is some meaning. There is something meaningful to draw from it, right? Something meaningful about like what we can do moving forward with society that is relevant to this claim. Do you disagree?
Yeah, for the 300th time, it's just a descriptive is claim.
Yeah.
The reason,
then we can
that I use it against feminists is to watch them fall on their sword over and over again, trying to rage against a reality which is not really, you can't really reject it. It's just a true statement. And so watching this happen over and over and over again on this channel and on others has been fucking hilarious for me.
Okay, well, I'm glad you've had fun with the weird hypothetical, but it does. I don't see much meaning from it. But
it's not a hypothetical.
Well, it is. I mean, it is a weird hypothetical to say that like all men are going to lock arms against all women. Like we're gonna have this like gender warfare, like those YouTube videos where they put 1,000 Hulks versus 1,000 Iron Mans. Like that's basically what it sounds like.
Comes after the rejection of the
Did you have any proof that the election was stolen, or
yeah? So you can look. You can look real quick. This particular group is called the PA Patriots. You can also look at what happened in Arizona with the Supreme Court rulings. There's several pieces of evidence that we can go over.
The Supreme Court rulings were all in favor that it was a.
It wasn't. You're wrong. That's not true.
Yes,
you're
they
incorrect.
Were. Yes.
Pull it
yes,
up.
They were.
Pull it up and show me all of them.
Well, you want me to pull up? You won't
give
show
you
me
time,
one.
Nina. I'll give you time.
Well, I gave you time. You didn't give me anything. Why the fuck are
you
wanting? I'm not gonna let you put me on the defensive here, bitch.
I just gave you two sources. Do you have a problem with my sources?
Where is it?
I just said the PA Patriots came out against this. They
did you link it in the general?
Why would I link it in the general? What the? I'm here to have a debate on the election.
I could just make up anything. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
We're gonna have a debate on the election, Nina.
Wait, quick PWF.
This is where it's gonna get problematic here with the TUS here.
Let me just say this real quick. I just quickly looked into it, and the Pennsylvania Supreme Court denied. They struck down the idea that the election.
I said Arizona for the Supreme Court. I'm talking about the PA Patriots. That's a different thing.
What is the PA Patriots?
PA Patriots is a group of politicians and observers who are on the ground who said that they saw massive irregularities.
So it's not a government. It's not a government.
Some of them are government officials. Yes.
No. Because you're a government official and you're part of something does not mean the corporation is a government.
You're part of the government. Yeah. If you're a government official, you're part of the
government.
But
that means if you're part of like the Boy Scouts and you work for like the government, is the Boy Scouts a government thing?
No, but you would still be a member of the government.
Exactly. So shut the fuck up about that. You know that you're wrong. Stop being an idiot about this.
That doesn't make sense. What you just said is a performative contradiction. It doesn't even make sense.
Okay, so is the company that you're or the organization that you're referring to, is that a government organization?
Wait, I'm also looking at this.
There are government officials who are there. Yes.
I'm also looking
because a government official that is in a group does not mean. Hold on, just one second. Almost done. Just because government officials are in a group does not mean that that group is a government organization. That's really stupid if you think that's the case.
I didn't say they were government organizations. I said they're part of the government.
Yeah,
I just
quickly looked it up about Arizona, and it says that basically even GOP members are saying no, it was not rigged. They did a hand recount, and in the hand recount, they found that Biden actually got even more votes than in the real one. So yeah, that never happened.
No, it did happen. There's still contention in Arizona as to the legalities.
I think the majority of people that were caught for voter fraud were Republicans, by the way.
I've heard that as well. It might be true. I hope so.
Yeah, well, again, if you want to come back and have a debate about election fraud, we can do that. But that's not what the purpose of this debate's about.
Okay. You're not going to do that because it's not really a debate.
Yes, I will.
Well, I mean, to be honest, that's not a debate. I'm just right.
Yes, it is a debate.
How?
We can have this discussion another time. I do want to wrap up. We're going on 3 hours. Let's just get into, if any, Ron, you want to say a closing thought, Nina, Andrew, and then we'll.
I'll be pretty quick. again, I think it is kind of a weird hypothetical, because the idea, it like rests on like, if all men like collectively locked arm in arm and decided to oppress all women, like even in past societies where like the men were specifically oppressing women, it was always like, these aren't usually like democratic societies that are actually built up of like even most men voting for this kind of structure. But even regardless of all that, I don't believe Andrew when he says that there's no like ought claim being suggested to or alluded to here.
And
like I think there is. I think well, I don't know exactly, but I'd say something along the lines of like an upholding of patriarchy. You know, this kind of thing. It's vague, but I think that's kind of like what you're alluding towards. But yeah, I mean that's all I really have to say. I don't know if it holds up. I don't know if there's anything real we can draw from this that like is useful.
Do you have a problem with my descriptive is claim or not?
I think there are several problems, but like again, I think in reality, if actually all men like went to war like hand in hand with all women, like yeah, the men would probably win. And if that's all you're saying, then I guess that's fine.
No,
like,
I'm also saying that you can't have true egalitarianism because you're always going to be begging your rights from men if you're women.
Yeah, well, I guess the final thing I'll say is that we seem to have gotten closer and closer to a more egalitarian society with time, and that there's no reason to assume that that's not going to continue going, even if at some point, like, we still see like some disparities between men and women, because like men and women are not the same. Like, obviously, everyone knows that
we're not equal.
So yeah, I mean, we're still probably going to see some disparities, but it doesn't mean we shouldn't strive towards equality. But anyway, Alex, I appreciate you having me on. Nina, always a pleasure. Andrew, unblock me on Twitter. Don't be a pussy, dude. And all right, love you guys. Bye.
Why is it that everybody they're just like losing their fucking minds? They can't wait to get more of my attention, right? Talk to this person. You gotta unblock me on Twitter. Like, don't be fucking bitches, and then maybe I'll treat you better.
Well, because it implies that you're unwilling to have discourse or debate with them.
Yeah.
Even though I've debated them 50 times, right? I have to continue. I have to continuously be in a perpetual state where I engage with every human being on planet Earth as much as they want.
Oh, I didn't know.
He seems like he's somebody who comes on stream. So, like, I mean.
All right, let's wrap it up. Nina, your closing thought?
Okay. As usual, Andrew showed himself to be a little bit of a perpetuate child, where he just gets really offended by anyone disagreeing with him. He, for some reason, is under the impression that, for one, women don't have guns. That like. The copium of I am stronger than you, so therefore I get to rule you. It's very stupid, doesn't make any sense. And you're just gonna stand on that because you're really insecure about what you think about a lot of these things. Because you know that doesn't make sense. You're not like doing anything that like it makes me do anything. Like I think that we're equals personally, but you don't think that way, right? So it's really odd to me your state of mind, which I find very interesting every single time that I talk to you, that I appreciate having your point of view, because I do like talking to you because I don't understand how you think, and I'm trying to understand it more and more every single time, where I don't really think that you're trying to understand how I'm thinking, because every time that I make a point, you just kind of distract and try and make it seem like I'm not actually saying anything, because I think that deep down inside you really do see what I'm saying, but you refuse to engage with me on a good faith way when it comes to like actually having your opinion changed. So I do love talking to you all the time. It's a pleasure, and tell Rachel I love her as well.
Andrew?
So I'm with this. You can of course find me on the Crucible or the alternative channel, the Crucible Limited. Again, thank you to our wonderful host Alex. Always enjoy collabing with him. He's always been nothing but good to me, even though he's a degenerate fucking piece of shit. I still like the guy, right? And I talk with people from all walks of life, and will even collaborate with them. I don't think he's a bad man intrinsically. Also, just so that you understand, kind of because Nina decided to give a second closing argument for no particularly good reason I can ascertain. The reason I don't need to engage as much with her worldview is because I actually understand her worldview. She doesn't understand mine. She's never taken the time to understand it. She wouldn't say ridiculous things like Christians have no justification, things like this. Fucking absurd on its face, right? They don't even know what they're talking about. Whereas progressivism, just kind of this surface level materialistic nonsense. I did engage with every argument that Nina made. She just didn't make very many, and she never really had anything to say about my descriptive is. Same as Radical Coder. When Radical Coper came on, he basically just kind of conceded what you're saying is true, but I think there's an implication there. It's like, maybe you think that, but just engage with what I'm saying. Is it true or untrue? And consensus, and overwhelmingly in every single debate I have on this topic on this channel or other channels, just with this single descriptor, is that inevitably it ends up that I'm proved completely correct. And they just think that there's a nefarious reason behind me making an is claim for what's just true. There doesn't have to be a nefarious reason for me pointing out what's true. It's just true. And that's all you need, is that it's true. We can't run away from what's fucking true. And I'm never going to do that. I'm always going to say what is true, regardless of what you think the implications of that are. And that's the insane mentality. The actual insane mentality is saying, don't say what's actually real due to the fact that people will think you have a nefarious implication or some alternative motivation for describing what is reality. That's insane. That's actually how insane people operate. So that's what I'll leave you guys with.
Cool. All right. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. We had a really good turnout today. If you want to see another Andrew debate, we're going to be doing one between him and Kevin Ray Wilder. So yes, Kevin Ray Wilder is coming out of retirement. We're going to do that debate in like a week and a half, 2 weeks. Also, I got some juicy debates set up myself for next week. And then we're doing speed dating tomorrow. So that should be fun. I appreciate you all. Have a good night, guys. Take it easy.